Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our January 26, 2021 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance. Please remain standing for a prayer and our moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's customary in this chamber that we stand for a moment of silence to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And this evening, Mr. De Palma.
There we go. With a heavy heart, I ask that everyone take a moment of silence for the tragic and unexpected passing of one of our state's unsung heroes, Dr. Andrew Brooks. Dr. Brooks was raised in Lake Ridge Development of Old Bridge and was a Rutgers University research professor in the Department of Genetics. Dr. Brooks was instrumental in the development of the COVID saliva spit test, the same test that is utilized at our own testing site weekly and that revolutionized COVID testing. Please keep his wife and children and family in our prayers.
A moment of silence, please. Mr. Pasquitti, our prayer.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give us quiet minds and hearts that we may hear your voice. Help us to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give us strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant that we have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Everyone, please be seated. Thank you.
This meeting is being held in conformance with Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on February 9th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. We'll do a roll call. Ms. Brown is absent. Mr. De Palma?
Here.
Dr. Greenberg-Belli? Here. Mr. Merwin?
Here.
Mr. Murphy? Is absent. Mr. Pasquitti?
Here.
No. I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Mr. Rizzoli?
Here.
Ms. Walker?
Here.
President Sohor?
Here.
Mayor, oh, sorry, that's 9. That's 8 present. Sorry, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. The first order. Yes, Mr. Shah.
Our attorney, Mark Rizzoli, Ken Lozier is
Mark
here, but
Rizzelli.
also Mark is on the phone. He's going to participate in a presentation. And Gabriella, I just got a text from him saying, I'm assuming he cannot see the people that are on the Zoom call. They cannot see the meeting, right? They have to go on to YouTube.
Right, the video of this meeting is not streamed on on Zoom. The presentations will be able to be viewed as we go through, as they're going to be a share screen from our presenters. But if you're looking to see the members of council as we speak, you should be watching it through OBTV or through our YouTube channel. However, our sound is being broadcast over the Zoom call as well.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and on Facebook, you can also watch it.
All right. Okay.
And the link is on Facebook.
Okay, so we're no, that's okay. Clarification is important so everyone knows exactly what we're doing. It will be presentations first, and I've been reminded by our clerk to make sure that if you're on the line waiting, to speak at any particular time, to make sure that you stay muted until it's your time, then you're recognized with your hand raised. Otherwise, it causes a lot of background noise, and it makes it very difficult for everyone to hear what's going on with the presentation, so I would thank you very much for that consideration. The first presentation is for properties located close to the intersection of Jake Brown Road and Highway 9, and intersection of White Oak Lane and Jake Brown Road. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, can you just introduce yourself, please?
My name is Ephraim Grossberg. Can you see the screen that I shared?
No.
I don't have it that you shared your screen yet, Ephraim.
No, not
There it
yet.
goes.
Good evening.
There is? Okay.
Okay, thank you, yes, good
Thank you.
evening, nice to have
Thank
you.
you, everybody, for your time. Thank you, council and Mayor Henry, for the time tonight. My name is Ephraim Grossberg. I'm the owner of 2020 Acquisitions, a national developer of real estate. And we've been working for the past 5 months on a project that we believe presents numerous benefits to the Township of Woodbridge, and we'll be hopefully walking you through those benefits and the project at large tonight, so I appreciate all the time. Some of the benefits that I think this project includes, and but is not limited to, is development of property that will be in excess of $3 million in ratables. It will also take 700 acres, approximately 700 acres of property that's zoned for residential and could be producing thousands of children into the school system, and instead making it a positive ratable. And finally, it will also create infrastructure that we're going to provide for the town, as well as ultimately a added amenity for the town as well. So we believe there's numerous benefits of the project, and with that, I'd like to walk you through the project. Just very quick background on my company. I'm the owner. We're a national real estate development company with projects from Florida to California. We own golf courses in Long Island and are currently developing over 10 million square feet of real estate from Maryland up through Massachusetts. Just highlighting 2 of our projects. This is a Glendale studio we created. The 2 projects I'm just highlighting about our company are because they've won awards for our attention to detail and how they revolutionize the area. This is a Glendale studio out in California. We won the San Fernando Valley Renovation of the Year. It's a 110,000 square foot studio and hosts the company that does Kardashians, Project Runway. Don't blame me for reality TV, but we do 35 TV shows there, and it's a single tenant user, Buna Murray, who invented reality TV with Real World. This is some of the pictures and highlights of what we've kind of done, studios inside and out, with creative office space as well. We also had a project in Somerset, 50 Veronica Avenue, which was 933,000 square feet, which we did in conjunction with Vince Dominic of Somerset, the Economic Development Commissioner and Chairman. And that project was a NIAP finalist, and it was eventually leased to LG, who has made that their cornerstone distribution for the East Coast. And that project also had a number of wetlands issues, access issues, and we worked through them in order to provide a great amenity and rateable for the town of over $1 million. The project that we're talking about really consists of 4 properties. And can you see my pointer? Okay, so we'll start with on the eastern side of Route 9. This is Route 9 to orient yourself. Okay, this is Jake Brown North over here. This is Jake Brown over here. And we'll call this the Jake Brown North site. This is one of the sites. The second is Jake Brown South, and that is south of this Jake Brown Road over here. This is the commuter corner right over here, just to orient yourselves. Then across Route 9, this is the Board of Ed bus depot that we're familiar with, and Jake Brown Road. And on this side, there are 2 projects. One is the gun club site, owned by Mr. Brunetti, and as well as the golf course, Glenwood Country Club, as well. And so that orients ourselves up and down Route 9 with access through Jake Brown here and Jake Brown here as well. The White Oak extension is over here to 516. We'll get into that, and there will be no traffic going there at all. We have routes, we've routed all traffic away from 516. The first project I just want to mention, and the way I'm going to hopefully go through this, is to just show you blocking of the projects, i.e. where they kind of sit and the flow of traffic, and then move to each site individually. And then I'm happy to open it up for questions if that's okay, or you can stop me along the way. This is Jake Brown North. So here we have Jake Brown over here, the commuter spot, the commuter area. Sorry, this is Jake Brown South over here. The commuter area is right here, the parking lot over here. And so this is a warehouse centered on the property. There's a PSC&G easement that runs with high-tension power lines over here. And in order to buffer any residential, we created a large landscape berm so no one will be able to see this warehouse from any residential homes. Then across the Jake Brown is another project over here. This project may not get done, but Mr. Bailey is deciding on whether to add it to the project, so we've included it. And this has landscape berm and landscape all over here. We're preserving all the trees in here so that there's no visual obstruction or view of the proposed warehouse. Entry is through this side, so you would come Route 9 into Jake Brown and enter the site over here. It's important to note that we will not be paving any area beyond this area approximately here, so you will not be able to get any traffic through here to cut through to Cottrell Road. It will be closed off over here so that we do not send any traffic past residential areas. The next site is the gun club, and that we are now, if we can just orient ourselves, down over here would be down to 516, and over here is Jake Brown Road past the bus depot, which is over here in the right top corner. This project over here is a one single warehouse over there with entry into the White Oak extension. If you're familiar with Jake Brown, it kind of ends, it goes through unpaved down toward Waterworks, although stops by the Nike missile site. And what we're proposing is to extend White Oak extension over here, which has been attempted for years and unsuccessfully. We believe we'll be able to extend White Oaks with a multi-million-dollar bridge over some of the areas over here and move it and allow access from the site to Jake Brown. And what that will do is it will allow Jake Brown traffic to go toward this way, toward Waterworks, or to Route 9, and it'll disperse traffic from here. Additionally, trucks can come here and enter into the golf course, and I'll get into that in a second. And then the last site is the golf course site, and you'll see the constraints of wetlands and flood hazard throughout these visuals, because they're like in all of Old Bridge, there's tons of wetlands. So here you see the gun club would come out here, come down here, and no trucks would be allowed or any cars would be allowed past here. They could come into this loop road and exit as well. So there's 3 entrances and exits for the gun club and as well as the golf course. And so the golf course has 5 buildings, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this also, the building over here along the Board of Ed site is conditioned on myself purchasing the Board of Ed property, and we were a successful bidder last week on that site. Just walking through each individual project, if I can, we're going back to the Jake Brown Road South project, so we're now back Route 9 here. We are east of Route 9. The parking is over here, and this project is a warehouse with double loaded, which means that there'll be entry on this side and this side. But we put the parking on both ends so as to limit disturbance for any neighbors, as well as a very, very large landscape berm that will buffer the neighbors as well as the warehouse. Continuing on to the Jake Brown North site, similar, one single building with significant landscape berms over here, as well as landscape along the property edge, and with one entrance down to Jake Brown Road. The gun club, as we showed in the blocking, is one building. Again, this area won't be near, it's within 20, 30 acres of any residential. It will not be able to be seen from any location at all. There's significant forest that we're leaving in place, significant wetlands that we're leaving in place, and we just have one pocket in the middle with entry back down to the White Oak extension and to Jake Brown Road left and right. And finally, the golf course, Glenwood Country Club, has 4 buildings on that and 1 on the Board of Ed site. And they are 3 small buildings with one larger building in the middle. There'll be a loop road to get you to Fairway Lane, which has a light, as well as back to the White Oak Extension and to Jake Brown here, or left toward East Brunswick, and exit 9 on the Turnpike can go this way. And I'd like to point out that we are building significant infrastructure on Jake Brown Road on the south side. We've agreed to realign per request by Nicole Engineering from Old Bridge to realign Jake Brown Road and make it a little softer turn, and it'll be able to be utilized better with the Brunetti project coming to the north. And we will also be agreeing to provide road infrastructure along this side of Jake Brown Road as well. Additionally, one of the amenities that we've looked at with Old Bridge, we've looked at a lot of amenities, but fortunately for Old Bridge, you pretty much have every single one I've ever thought of. But the one that we don't have relates to the golf course that we're taking away. And what we have agreed to at 2020 is to build a new golf course on the Rose Lambertson's road project, and that is on the corner of Amboy Road as well as Lambertson Road. And these are the three properties. We have the main tract over here, we have a tract up here, and we have a small tract here that will be very little developed, but is part of the project. And when I was discussing with the township on the amenity, the plan is for myself to build the golf course. I have experience. I own 2 country clubs, high-end country clubs in Long Island. I'm very familiar. And I've hired Stephen Kay, who has designed architects in New Jersey, a public golf course, very profitable, as well as Fiddler's Elbow and numerous courses up and down the East Coast. And what we've originally planned for was an 18-hole golf course that I'll be building and donating to the town. And what we've realized is that we have enough acreage to add 2 amenities that I'd like to point out. And the 2 amenities are a pitch and putt and a miniature golf. And the reason I mention these 2 amenities is besides the fact that they are more family oriented than just golfers, right? You bring your kids to a pitch and putt or a miniature golf. They also are huge revenue generators when you're coupling it with a golf course, because the maintenance of the golf course is paid for. And so this will generate over $175,000 of cash flow with almost no expenses. And so the project overall of the golf course, which we're still designing and obviously would come back to the town for approval on, is a 18-hole golf course with a approximately 3,000 square foot clubhouse that'll have a patio, so you could sit out on the patio after a round of golf, or come and just watch golfers, and there'll be some food amenity there, as well as a pitch and putt, as well as a miniature golf section for families. And, I think that, as I mentioned before, Mr. Brunetti, who has been very kind along this process, has really made me articulate how these benefits help Old Bridge, and only upon doing that has he entrusted me with these 700 acres approximately. And what we've done, I believe, will generate over $3 million in ratables. We'll take out what could be around 4, 5, 6 a COA and create thousands of homes and school kids into the school system, and instead create a positive ratable with very low impact on the town and neighbors. And we hope that this will be supported by the council. We appreciate all the collaboration that's been happening with the town council, the mayor, and the team. And I particularly want to thank Stephen Marcus, the chair of economic development, who has been really instrumental in walking me through some of the hurdles that I had to overcome, as well as Vina from planning, Nicole from engineering, and certainly Mark Roselli, who's been a guiding force along this project. So I'm open to questions. In terms of traffic, again, we will not be doing any to 516. We'll be routing things away from the town and Route 9 once we're out of Old Bridge.
Madam President, it's Mark Roselli. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can, Mark. Good evening.
So Ephraim, thank you for the presentation. Just so the council and the public can understand where we are. On tonight's agenda, there's a resolution for council's consideration to request that the planning board undertake a redevelopment study for the lots that are being proposed by Mr. Gersberg to be developed. Mr. Gersberg had previously appeared before the redevelopment agency. As you may know, I'm the attorney for the redevelopment agency, and made a presentation regarding the proposed warehousing, and then obviously as part of those discussions, the golf course. At the redevelopment agency unanimously adopted a resolution conditionally designating an urban renewal entity that Mr. Gersberg formed, Segme Urban Renewal LLC, which would ultimately be the redeveloper. So the next step, obviously, in that process is to determine whether or not the subject properties meet the requirements of an area needed redevelopment. So one of the things I know that Mr. Gersberg had appeared just by phone a few months back, but he has been working with Nicole, as he indicated, Bina and myself, to give the council and the public a better idea of what the proposal actually is. And as you can see, it's a significant investment into the community. As Mr. Gersberg also indicated, and we made clear to him, was that obviously, with respect to the location, any access on the Route 516 was a no, which he understood. That we needed him to help create and finish some of these roads, especially the Jake Brown Road extension, that ultimately will benefit the township wide with respect to traffic going across and diverting traffic to other parts of the township without having to go through the center of town. And then also recognizing that, as he indicated, there's almost 700 acres of potential developable property. That would, under its present zoning, result in thousands of homes being built. Instead of those thousands of homes being built and the demand for services that come with it, this allows the town to have as people refer to a warehouse as a clean rateable, and then also, because of its location, separate it from the public. You'll be able to, obviously, as we go through the process, assuming the council votes in favor, and as we develop a redevelopment plan, to ensure that the setbacks and the buffering are such that any houses that may be near the warehouses are adequately buffered, that we would ensure that the traffic circulation works for the benefit of the township. And then the golf course is an additional amenity. Now, this golf course in this area was previously designated as an area in redevelopment, and the town had worked with a consultant to even come up with a proposed plan. And I can say, actually, I met one of Mr. Gersberg's partners with one of the golf courses in Long Island in another court while I was in court. And I would welcome if you take a look at these facilities. They are top notch. And so, I mean, the discussion about that golf course goes back, gosh, I don't know, at least 15, 20 years. And now we have an opportunity, because we control the land, we being the township, to have a redeveloper who's willing to come in and really put a first-class facility, not just, golfers, but you'll have with the pitch and putt and the miniature golf, that makes it a family tool. And that's something that I think you all agree that would be well worth the investment, and something that many people can enjoy, and really take the existing golf course, which I understand needs some tender loving care, and transform it into a first-class golf course here. So I know that there's members of the redevelopment agency who were also listening to the meeting, and it was unanimously, the redevelopment agency unanimously supported the proposal. I can tell you, working with Mr. Gersberg and his professionals, they've been upfront from the beginning. They listened to what we asked them to do, and I think that this is something that would be a plus for the entire community. So I just want to give you that background as to why we're here today and where we're looking to go.
Okay, thank you very much for all that information, very appreciated.
Council President,
yes.
Mayor would like to speak. And
Yes,
then,
absolutely.
Glenn D'Antonio, the chairman of the Redevelopment Agency has a couple of words.
Okay, very good. Are you there, Mr. D'Antuno?
Was the mayor going first, or would you like the chair to go first?
Yeah, yeah. Glenn, are you there?
I am here. I'm
Okay.
sorry, it was hard to hear you a little.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Glenn D'Antuno. I'm the chairman of the Redevelopment Agency. Yes, we did see this. We did unanimously vote on this project about a month ago. It's a great project, bringing a lot of good ratables to the town. We do support it wholeheartedly. I think this is just the right move at the right time for Old Bridge, and it's just the right fit for us right now. I mean, it checks the right boxes for what Old Bridge has been looking for and what a lot of people has been asking for. And not only the ratables, it's going to bring jobs to the town, and that's something that we really need in New Jersey.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank the for its hard work in working with the developer.
Thank you.
Mayor?
I'm sorry, Council, I don't know if anybody was finished. No, thank you, everyone. Opportunity like this doesn't come around often. We're in the right place at the right time. And I'll just use a few words that I think describe what this potential project, the planning board has to go before the planning board, and it has to go through all the hoops and loops that the township normally requires a project to go through. But I look at the word stability. This stabilizes the township for the very distant future. It allows us to get infrastructure that this town, we've been trying to get the Jake Brown Road to Route 9 connection for forever. A Route 9 to Waterworks Road forever. Township Golf Course, 20 years. And again, all this without an impact on our school system. And as our township attorney said, we're taking 700 acres of developable land off the residential market. And I believe this project will be able for us to maintain the quality of life that we have now. You won't even know these warehouses are there. The view from Route 9 will remain the same going up Route 9. We'll limit the environmental impacts. And it's an opportunity that we have right now to secure the future of this town and its residents. And Glenn said with jobs and the opportunity, I think it's a win-win for everyone. Township, the residents, and the developer also. So I would hope the council supports the resolution to go before the planning board. And let's start getting this done. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, Mayor.
Council
Yes.
President, for the question and answer, so that Ephraim can clearly hear all the questions, make sure all the council member speaks into microphone so that the sound goes to the Zoom connection is clear to Ephraim so he can properly respond.
Okay,
And we
all
can
right.
open it up for the question and answer.
Okay, did everyone hear what Mr. Shaw said, that we have to make sure that we speak clearly and into the microphone so that the gentleman can answer any questions that we may have? So I'll open up the floor to questions. Anyone would like to start? Mr. De Palma?
Yeah, so thank you very much for coming forward with the plan. I think it actually looks great. They definitely, taking out those, bringing a rateable and taking out all those potential residences, I think it's a great thing. I think one of the hallmarks of good development is being smart about it and smartly developing the township without adding additional infrastructure. This will get that, as well as also get us a township golf course, as well as some other items as well. The question I had is on the buffering that you talked about on Jake Brown Road, is that existing or is it new? So my only concern is, are we going to be reforesting that area, putting up trees, putting up buffering, or is it already existing where it's kind of mature and those folks won't be impacted from day one?
Anything that is already mature, our goal, because it's a heavy forested area, obviously if there's mature trees, we will not be knocking them down to then put up buffering. What we would do is we would leave the trees in place and then buffer behind it and making sure. And what we have done in the past, and I'm happy to do this, is we've actually done 3D modeling from we literally sit on the property line and take some pictures and show you how you can see the warehousing. And I would expect on a project of this size, I'm going to commit to do that as well. So the answer is simply, where there's natural buffering, we're going to keep it. And really, we're fortunate because in a lot of these areas, there's natural buffering. But where we're disturbing or there isn't enough, we are committed 100% to adding mounding and evergreens so that winter or summer that there's buffering. And with sight lines, if you put them close to the property lines, because of the way sight lines work, you literally, your eyes go over and up to like 60 feet, which these buildings are obviously not. So we really have done a very good job across the state and across the country of being very concerned about this and have figured out a way to make them not visible. But again, if there's natural vegetation now, especially mature trees, we're keeping them and we'll buffer behind them.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Anyone else to my left over here? Anyone have any questions or comments? Anyone to my right?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't see your hand. Go right ahead. Mr. Merwin.
This is a fantastic concept, great idea, long time in the coming, but, and I'm going to worry about our residents when I say these things. When Steve brought this to my attention last year, he asked me, what my thoughts on it were, and my thoughts were, unless we get flyovers coming out of Jake Brown Road and out of Fairway Lane, there's no way that I could support it because it's going to bring Route 9 to a standstill. There's going to be nothing but truck traffic from all these warehouses. And it's great. We're going to get these warehouses. We're losing 4 farms. We're losing a golf course. There are some drawbacks to it. The road, as everybody likes to say, would be such a great thing. So it gets out towards East Brunswick. You notice they didn't show too much of it because it goes right through the aquifer in the property that is owned by the city of Perth Amboy and or its water company that they contract with. It's just, if we can take this truck traffic so that when they come out of Jake Brown or when they come out of Fairway and we have the flyover so that they don't have to utilize traffic lights and they come down and they go right on the Route 9 North or they go right on the Route 9 South, it's a great idea. If we don't have those things, we're going to bring ourselves to a standstill. We're going to have people screaming and hollering and yelling at us all the time. That's the thing. That area, the infrastructure is just not made for trucks at the present time. It's the same thing out in Waterworks Road and Cheesequake Road. We put the warehouses in, but nowhere on Cheesequake Road or the intersections are you able to turn trucks, tractor trailers. And their first thing will be, we're going to have 18-foot straight jobs. We know that. But, the concept is great. When Steve first proposed it, I said, it's a great idea, but I can't support it unless we get these flyovers and we take care of the traffic because we got to worry about our residents. So with growth, comes some stuff, but if we get out in front of it, then we don't have a problem. And that's one of the biggest things is getting that truck traffic out of there without affecting the traffic on Route 9, which is already in the morning and the afternoon's tremendous. So I love it, but there are some caveats that I'm going to decide whether I'm going to support it or not is whether our residents are going to be taken care of or not. Thank you.
Okay, you through, Mr. Merwin? Thank you. I believe Mr. Murphy has his hand raised, you said? Okay. Councilman Murphy, you there?
Yes, Mr. President, when Mr. Roselli was speaking, did he say that the existing golf course is going to be made?
John, you keep turning off your microphone. Mr. Murphy?
Madam President, if just to follow up, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Roselli, we can hear you.
Basically, Mr. Murphy.
Did he hear my Did he hear my question?
Basically, what'll happen is part of the existing golf course, I forget the name, that will be developed with warehousing. So that golf course will no longer, obviously, if the redevelopment were to continue and be built, the old golf course will no longer be there. But as part of, to the extent that we move forward and we enter to a redeveloper's agreement with the redeveloper, part of what they have agreed to do was to build a new golf course in the Rose Lambertson site to replace, obviously, the golf course that's going to be removed with the construction of the new warehousing. Again, remember, this is just the first step in the process.
Okay, so basically they're not going to have an 18-hole golf course replace that one. And like I said it last time, nobody's going to come to Old Bridge to play a 9-hole golf course.
Yeah.
And another concern I have is similar
Mr. Murphy,
to Mr.
Murphy. There will be Mr. Murphy, there will be a new 18-hole golf course.
The traffic on 516 become horrendous because it's already all bottled up all the time at that road now. So I agree we should look into that too.
Council
Mr.
President,
Murphy.
Council
So, Mr.
President,
Murphy.
can we have
Yes.
Nicole will address the traffic issues? She's been working diligently on that concern that administration just have as much as any council.
Oh, no, agreed. Like Mr. Roselli said, that this is step one. This is, this is only step one. So if, you can address it absolutely. If it helps make clarification for the gentleman, by all means.
And again, I want to reiterate, it's Mark Roselli, I want to reiterate, there will be a new 18-hole golf course built. That's part of what the developer agreed to. And Mr. Murphy, we also insisted that any of the traffic that's generated will not be permitted to go into 516. That's part of, when we do the infrastructure and the proposed, traffic, that's obviously something that Nicole's already started to look at, and we've had discussion with Mr. Gersberg and his team about that. So obviously we're cognizant of that. We want to make sure that it doesn't increase traffic on local roads. But the idea is with some of these roads that'll be completed, it'll enhance the ability to take traffic off of some of the existing crowded roads and divert it away from the middle of the township. So again, this is just the first step of the process. It just allows the planning board to proceed with having to undertake a study to determine whether or not the lands meet the requirement of redevelopment, an area need redevelopment rehabilitation, and then if then they report back to the township council, and then obviously if it does, they would make a recommendation whether for the council to adopt a resolution to designate the areas as areas in need of redevelopment. And then we proceed with coming up with a redevelopment plan, which is ultimately the ordinance that allows the type of development. And again, they have to work closely with the township professionals and then we ensure that the setbacks, the infrastructure, the traffic, meet all of our requirements, and that would require them to do traffic studies, and there's a lot of work to be done, but again, this is the first step in the process.
If I could just add, it's Ephraim Gorsberg, sorry. The good news is that this will be farther down the road to show this, but there are a lot of studies, and we have real data, that trucks generally do not like to be driving during prime time, rush hour. So in fact, the trip generation of trucks and cars for warehousing is significantly taken away from rush hour traffic. And as well as the fact that we will present it eventually, the idea that these projects would generate a multitude of traffic if it was residential, there is no question about. Compared to a residential projects on 700 acres, or what the Bernetti organization is doing in Oaks 1 and Oaks 2, this is significantly less traffic than the alternative. It's obviously not less traffic than raw land, but certainly it is. And just, I apologize for not being clear, but to be clear on the Rose Lamberton side, I'm going to spend well over $8 million on a new 18-hole golf course that meets modern technology, as well as modern amenities. For instance, those drivable par 4s have become kind of the hit, different types of par 3s, and it will be a full 18-hole golf course that people will want to come to Old Bridge for, because it'll be built to specs of what people want now and not what necessarily was done 30 or 40 years ago. It'll be a first-class, amenity-driven golf course. Thank you.
Mr. Roselli. Mark,
I'll have 1 minute.
you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You say there will be an 18-hole golf course built, and I'm sure that's what they're saying is on the Rose Farm area? Who's going to own it when he spends $8 million for it?
The township.
Okay.
I'll be donating it back to the township.
Yeah, we went through this, with the the Green Acres the last time. So I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, I believe, Mr. Paschetti, you had your hand up now?
Yes. You're not losing anything. These lands are for sale. So the question to me is, do we want to take advantage of this opportunity or roll the dice and take a chance of 10,000 or so homes being built on these properties? As the mayor mentioned, you're removing all this land from the for sale block. These lands are owned privately, so when people want to sell their land, a developer can come in and develop property, homes. And I think we've had a lot of home building in Old Bridge, and we're pretty full. As a concept, I fully support what I'm saying. And as Councilman De Palma said, this is smart development. And that's what we need in Old Bridge, smart development. We look at things and develop them with the residents in mind and our town as a whole. And this is a great opportunity, and I don't want to see it go away, because if we lose this opportunity, we might be stuck with something a lot worse. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Rizzoli?
Thank you, Council President. I think this is a great project. I'm going to be supporting it. I think having $3 million worth of clean ratables as a property owner, I think that's a great thing. I've heard a few presentations by Ephraim. He is going out of the way for the residents in this town. I have the utmost confidence in him and his company. His reputation speaks for itself. I'm sure he's going to make sure that our residents are not inconvenienced. Plus, like the mayor said, there's different levels of government he has to go through to get this project. So I think, and the fact that it has no impact on our school system is even better. So I will be supporting this. Thank you, Ephraim, for the presentation again.
Okay. Mrs. Shapiro, you were going to come up and explain a little more with the traffic.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring something up about the Jake Brown Road connection. It's in our master plan, in our circulation element, that Jake Brown Road connects from Route 9 to Bordentown Avenue. Right now, that connection is shown to line up with Journey Mills Road. Even earlier today, I was meeting with the mayor, and that's not viable because the rail line at Journey Mills is active. So that would be a complicated intersection for any developer to do on a normal day. You add a railroad mixed in there that's active, and not only active, it doesn't run at that point parallel to Bordentown, but it crosses at Journey Mill. When you look at the GIS wetlands data that NJDEP puts online, and you sort of put this aerial that Ephraim had put up of Jake Brown Road, and you underlie it, it then begs that your alignment for Jake Brown Road then should veer off and then should tie into Brown Road. Right now, currently, I'm working with DOT in which I'm designing the plans, and they're going to construct improvements to that intersection and that rail crossing. So that would be a good connection point. I've had probably about 4 or 5 different calls with the developers, engineers to try and work out sort of, what we foresee as a viable alignment that will get them through the DEP stormwater management process, that would limit any environmental constraints out there, that will utilize the existing road bed that's out there now for Jake Brown Road. Even as you approach behind the Oaks One development and the Bernetti organization's residential component, there's still some sort of roadbed there. That, in the eyes of DEP, is disturbed area. So the developer's engineer and I were trying to go back and forth on several different alignments that would, mitigate any of the environmental concerns, would get us that connection, would get truck traffic off of Route 9 and off of 516. Incidentally, even though, we would institute a redevelopment plan for this area, their application in front of our planning board would still be an application in front of the county because they're a major development that would have access to 516. It's still an application to DOT because they're a major project in the eyes of DOT access management. And so that connection on Fairway Lane and that connection to Jake Brown Road would still be an application. So although the township is looking at it as far as infrastructure improvements on Jake Brown Road, that infrastructure improvement helps the developer because it takes the traffic off Route 9 and off 516, and it eases that conversation they have now with DOT and the county because now they have a solution for that traffic. They have a solution that gets that traffic to Bordentown Avenue, that can connect to Journey Mill Road, that can connect up further and enter onto 18 closer to the New Jersey Turnpike. That traffic now has an alternate way of getting to that main thoroughfare that every developer of warehouse wants in that section, a closer connection to the Turnpike. So this developer has obligated himself or has agreed to look into that for us. And certainly there's other amenities that we had talked about offline too. That makes this project extremely viable for our township and very positive. So infrastructure-wise, I'm in love with it, So it's, I see it as a positive, and I just wanted to bring that up because the environmental constraints were looked at when we sort of took a look at the alignment for Jake Brown Road.
Thank you. Walker, you had your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to say that these properties are owned by a private citizen, and it's their right to sell it if they want. And in a perfect world, of course, we'd like to see it stay farms, but it could be sold for residential, which would still impact the traffic, all the houses that would be there, and plus it would impact our school system. And as we know, that's where most of our taxes come from. So I'll be supporting it in the fact that they will continue to put a golf course in Old Bridge, which I hate losing that amenity, but somebody could come in and buy this up and build a lot of houses, and it would not be good for Old Bridge.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Greenberg, Belleye?
Yes, thank you. I think overall, instead of looking at this in piecemeal, if you look at it in totality, it's really offering so many positive things. As has been said by other council members, by the mayor, by business administrator, if they were to sell it separately, we would not have any say, and we would not get everything that we're asking for in return to make it look copacetic, to keep a flow pattern with traffic, to get the amenities that we want to improve the town. to get the buffers that we want and the green belts in between properties. And here we're going to have the warehouses that will not be recognizable from Route 9, so that won't change. But just imagine if this developer decided to go on to, say, Freehold or a Town South. All the trucks, all we would be is a road, traffic stop with these huge trucks going through town. This is in the north part. They're improving the infrastructure where it will be very little impact. As it was mentioned, they don't travel during, peak areas. They want to be efficient in their job also and not deal with traffic and make their day go well. So there are times that they use the roads is off times. We have talked about many of these turnoffs of Route 9 doing improvements and haven't gotten that done. In this area, we're going to get this done. And also to think that Rose Farm has been sitting idle. Sadly, some of the structures on there have gone into disarray from this. And we're going to get something positive back in town that everyone can use in town and then doesn't have to go off on Route 9 or to another town to have this enjoyment. So I think there are a lot of positives. And you could always find something negative, but I want to have faith in the boards and committees that look at this, that they will take everything into consideration and all the other residents in town, especially the ones that are near these projects, that they will be protected. And if you want to do your research and look at some of the other developments that this developer has done, I would say, if you look at them, look at his golf courses, it's a quality product. And I wouldn't expect anything different, to happen at this point in Old Bridge. I mean, it's a huge investment, but I think if you look at it together and tie everything together, it works as a project overall. So I will be supporting it, and I look forward to seeing it come together and to be a benefit in so many different ways, not only for the tax, the ratables in town, for the amenities, the improvement in traffic, and, in this time when what we're facing, to know that if someone of this magnitude wants to come and invest in Old Bridge, that speaks volumes also. So we have a lot of hard work in front of us, but I have faith in the committees that we'll get something that will be very good for the entire town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I finish the council comments, Mrs. Brown, do you have any comment you'd like to make? No? Okay, thank you. I also will be...
Mrs. Chairman, could I say something?
Oh, absolutely, John. Go ahead. Yes, John, go right ahead.
Okay, at this time, I would like to thank Mr. Roselli and Ms. Shapiro for their answer to my two questions. The major one was the traffic. She explained that. The golf was a minor one. After looking at the pictures and hearing everything about it, there's no downside. I consider this a great contribution to Old Bridge, and I will be supporting.
Okay, very good, John. Thank you very much. I also, in closing our council comments, just will say I too am supporting the project. I think we have to look towards our future. Things change in town, the times have changed, and we have to work towards a goal, which is to make sure that when we leave, this town is a good footprint. And I think this project, it sounds very good to me. It's always been, over the last 20 years, overdevelopment has been a big issue, not only during election time, but in general. And several people have railed against housing. So I think this project is an answer to some of those concerns that they've had. And it seems like a quality project. They're willing to invest quite a bit of money into this town, and I think that says a lot for our town, that they're looking at a project of this kind of magnitude here in town. So I also will be supporting this as well. Thank you. We do...
Mr. President, our Steve Mamakis like to say a couple of words in support, so if you could allow him to say a couple of words.
Yes, of course. Yes, Steve, thank you. You're here. Good evening.
I'm on the line. Good evening.
Go right ahead.
Stephen Mack is here, the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, and also our Redevelopment Agency. I mean, what more can I mention about this? I mean, the moment I met Mr. Gertzberg and toured him around our town, as I normally do at many, he saw our vision and it connected with his vision. Basically, this is a major project. It can set the stage for the future of Old Bridge and revenue generation and ratables and jobs. It actually fits our strategic plan that, our administration has and the mayor has of a destination location with the golf course tied into it and warehousing. The benefits to it are enormous. It's positive and it's smart growth. It's exciting actually to see what can be developed on these properties. So I have to thank Mr. Gertzberg for his investment and actually caring for our community. I mean, when I brought him around and working with our professionals, when I brought him around, he just kept mentioning what else can he do for our community. It's just basically a great project for our town, and it connects with our vision. And there's not more I can say. I think Nicole said, I love it. It's basically a great project. As we go through our boards, it's actually going to be something that one thing in the Economic Development Department we try to stop is leakage into other communities. This makes us a destination location. And again, job creation is key in this environment today. I met Mr. Gertzberg, way before all of this started. It was beginning of last year, of 2019, when he said, I will build this. And going down the path of stating that, yes, it is private property, but Mr. Gertzberg has gone the extra steps to make this something that will be something great for our township and for the future of our township going forward. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Mamakis, for all you've done as well to see, how wonderful this kind of a project could be and all the work that you put into it as well. It's all appreciated. It's one big cohesive group. That whole redevelopment agency also as well has really gone above and beyond to try to find projects that are going to make put Old Bridge in such a good place. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Council President, if I may ask the council to separate the resolution that's on the agenda, recommending this to planning board, would be greatly appreciated. And in closing, I want to thank council member for that positive comments, constructive comments. I want to thank obviously Steve and particularly Mark Roselli, Rena Savant, and Nicole Shapiro. They've been working with Ephraim, and obviously Ephraim, they've been working together for a while to get this together, to present this to the council in the way that everybody can understand, unlike a few months back when Ephraim spoke that I want to invest money in town, and everybody, we all got saying, what does that mean? But now we know what it means. It means a great future for Old Bridge. So I want to thank everyone for their efforts in putting this presentation together, Ephraim for coming forward, and council supporting it.
Yes, thank you all very, very much. So I'd like to sound like a So anyway, I'd like to ask for a motion for this resolution to take it.
I make a motion to separate.
Okay, so motion was made by Mr. Rizzoli, second, Mr. Paschetti. Oh, so let's have a roll call for this, please, for the resolution, and we'll make it clear that this is to send it to the planning board.
This is a separation of resolution C8.
Yep.
Ms. Brown?
No.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes, one thing I'd like to say, though, when they do close the golf course at Brunetti's, I hope the other golf courses will be up and running already. Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yeah, it's real nice. Everybody tries to make it out like I'm the only guy against it. I prefaced my statements with that it's a great project. I have some very real concerns about the truck traffic on Route 9, the truck traffic anywhere else in town. So they're my concerns. I think it's a great project. If we can get it through and we can get all the things that protect the residents of Old Bridge, then that's a great thing. So I will support this going to the planning board, but I will be following it all along to make sure that all of these things are taken care of. That's it. Thank you.
That's an aye, correct? Mr. Merwin?
That was a yes to go to the planning
Okay,
board.
thank you. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
That's 8 ayes.
And thank you again, Ms. Ephraim, for all the input and support that you're giving us, answering all our questions to this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council and Mayor, and I really look forward to bringing this to fruition. I think it's a win-win, and I really am dedicated to making this work for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, next will be a community solar project for a global landfill, presented by David Frank. Are you here, Mr. Frank?
Hi, it's actually being presented by me and my colleague, Annika Colston.
Okay, I'm sorry, could you repeat your name, please?
Yes, my name is Annika, Annika. Last name is Colston, Colston.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, and you can see the screen that we're sharing?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, Mayor, Councilwomen, Councilmen. My name is Annika Colston, and I'm the president and founder of AC Power. I'm joined with my colleague, Kyle Miller, and we are here to present a solar project we are developing at the global landfill site. We are requesting preliminary support for our community solar program application to the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities pilot program. This is one step in a long process, and we are early in the development process yet. So first, a little background on AC Power. Since 2016, AC Power has been dedicated to developing solar projects on landfills, brownfields, and other sites in need of rehabilitation. We have 3 operational projects in New Jersey, one in Gloucester, Delanco, and Hapatcong, with 3 projects slated to start construction later this quarter. AC Power was awarded 3 projects in New Jersey's Community Solar Program Year 1. We're now talking about Year 2. It's a very competitive program, and we were very thrilled to be awarded so many projects. Our development pipeline consists of over 100 megawatts of landfill, mine, and quarry projects across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. And as you'll see, we specialize in projects, in difficult projects on challenging sites with lots of hurdles to overcome. So I will show you in a couple of slides the location. We'll zoom out so you'll be able to see the location of the landfill, but just a few particulars first about this site. It's a 4.5 megawatt DC solar array situated on top of the global landfill, on top of the flat surface on the landfill cap. The landfill, the solar area itself is 16 acres. The landfill is 57 acres, and the total lot and blocks are 95 acres. The solar facility will be situated on concrete ballasted blocks so that it rests on top of the landfill cap and doesn't disturb any of the landfill contents. This is the preferred approach by the DEP and the industry standard for solar on landfills. We're including landscaping with pollinator-friendly species to further enhance the site. And as I've mentioned, we're going to be pursuing this project for the New Jersey Community Solar Program. We have already met with the DEP and the EPA to present the project and the long-term end use of solar, and they are supportive of the project and have seen no significant hurdles. I'm going to hand it over to Kyle now to present the community solar program.
Okay, thank you
Thanks,
very
Annika.
much.
Good evening, Council. So on this slide, we provide some details regarding the Community Solar Pilot Program. The pilot program is part of Governor Murphy's platform to achieve 50% renewable energy by 2030. One of the core tenets of the program is offering solar, clean, renewable energy to non-traditional customers, including low to moderate income individuals and multifamily housing, as well as renters. One of the largest barriers for residents to get involved in solar is they don't have the site control at their residence, so they're unable to install solar on their roof. Fortunately, the community solar program enables these customers to buy or subscribe to a certain percentage of the power generated by the solar facility. In addition to that, the program strongly encourages the solar developers to make the commitment that 51% of the project capacity or output will be subscribed by low to moderate households. This project that we're proposing at the global landfill will make that commitment, and we'll of course try to do more, as much LMI as possible, but this is one of the key goals of the program itself. In addition to that, the program strongly encourages siting on brownfields and closed landfills, which is AC Power's specialty. We have successfully developed on closed landfills within the state, have worked with DEP hand in hand on working on a modified closure plan. So we are experienced with that. In addition, the program awards additional points for projects being located on these types of sites, which the global landfill would qualify for. Additionally, we are developing a workforce development or job training program as part of our application for this project to offer funding for a nationally recognized certification test for renewable energy professionals as a way to encourage job seekers to take this test and enhance their resume. And then the last thing I wanted to touch about the community solar program that is why we are in front of you this evening is the community engagement aspect. This is crucial for the success of the project, is that the BPU or the Board of Public Utilities wants to make sure that we are working hand in hand with the township and getting the support of any local officials as well as any local organizations, because this is really seen to be a benefit to the whole township. So as part of this application process, we have been reaching out, figuring out who could we provide support to our application that align well with what we're trying to achieve with this project. And something that I also wanted to touch on is the time sensitivity of our application. They are due February 5th. So less than 2 weeks away. So we're preparing them as we speak, pretty much, and making sure we build a strong case for why this project should be selected by the Board of Public Utilities. To summarize some of the benefits of community solar, essentially the subscribers to the solar facility will be able to subscribe to the power and receive a fixed discount between 15 to 25% on their JCP&L electric bill. So one of the key things that we're going to do in our community solar outreach, if we are selected, is look for JCP&L customers in Old Bridge Township, and give them preference, and then we'll expand the, let's say, pool of residents to other JCP&L customers if required. But of course, we will give preference to Old Bridge Township residents. In addition to that, there will be improved utility infrastructure and resiliency, given that we are doing upgrades on the existing JCP&L infrastructure. And that will be something that the solar, the solar developer, and the JCP&L will go back and forth on in terms of the required upgrades to handle the 4.5 megawatt DC system. Annika had already mentioned this, but we have partnered with an expert in pollination support plans, and we are looking to plant native vegetation as well as the pollinator-friendly species to provide additional ecological benefits to the site. Some benefits to the township would be the option to purchase electricity at discounted rates as well. So township accounts can subscribe to the solar facility as well. In addition to that, there's the promote sustainable redevelopment of a former landfill that currently is dormant. It has, there's many examples of successful redevelopment of solar on landfills within the state and across the country. And then the last thing that I think is really critical for this project is returning the property to productive use. We give the township certainty about future tax revenues from the site. So this is something that I think we've been working with in previous conversations with some members of the town about some options about returning this site to the tax rolls. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Annika to give an update on the current site status and finish off the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. So as I mentioned before, I was going to give you some context of where the site's located. To the far right of that screen is where the Garden State Parkway runs, and that's the Cheesequake State Park there in the outside between the pink area and the far right. And on the far left side, where the kind of little partial circle is and the line down, that's Route 9 and the intersection of Ernston Road. So the global landfill is located on the lots of 4, 5, and 6 within that area. So thus far, we've been working on, we are in the early stages, but we have been working on the project for a couple of years now. Since it is a Superfund site, there are many players involved, and the first one I want to touch on is the global PRP group, and the PRP is potentially responsible party, and that's the group that was identified by the EPA that was responsible for the remedial activities and for maintaining the remedy at the site. They are continuing to provide the operation and maintenance of the remedies. So we worked with them to execute an agreement on how we would cooperate in installing a solar project there and on the landfill cap, and so that we would have a site cooperation agreement with them. And they're supportive of the project, and we are, have a good working relationship with them. We are also engaged with the lawyer representing the Basin Realty. It is a defunct partnership with that is responsible for the current tax liens, and we have approached them to acquire their lots and resolve those tax liens. We've outlined the other players that would also be involved in this, Middlesex Builders and RDK. They were involved in access agreements in order to get to the landfill site. So that road that goes there between the residential areas, that's the current access to the site. We have had ongoing correspondence as well with the township, primarily with Mr. Shaw and Mr. Roselli, who've helped direct us into the path forward, and we've shared the project with them through its evolution and sought guidance from them on how the best way to proceed, and we thank them for helping direct us to this meeting tonight. So just to touch a little bit on the project development timeline, as Kyle said, the application is due next month, and then we will be waiting several months for the awards. But in the meantime, our plan is to continue engaging with Old Bridge Township. We would like to initiate the redevelopment study, set up our escrow account, start the pilot agreement with the township. So those activities would all continue from here forward. We would expect to hear the award announcements in June, and then we would really begin quite quickly with the remaining project development tasks. And so starting in July, we would re-engage with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection to submit a modified closure plan. We would work with JCP&L for our interconnection, and we would prepare our civil site plan and application to the township's planning board. We would expect to be before the planning board by October of this year and have all of our non-ministerial permits received by March of 2022. And then we would begin construction and hopefully be operating by the end of the third quarter of 2022. So that gives a general overview of the project. It's we're happy to have these next few months to continue engaging with the township before we have to move into some of the other tasks. So this is a complex project. It has some very high upfront development costs, some risk in engaging with all of these parties. As is the case with all landfill solar projects, they have higher construction costs than typical solar projects. But we believe this project, this site is an ideal location for solar. It meets the governor's objective of solar on previously disturbed properties and landfills and brownfield sites, and we think that it could be something that the township would also support and highlight as a really high quality project. At present, we don't believe there's any economic path to developing this project and bringing it back onto the productive tax rolls without the community solar pilot program. It offers the highest incentives available because of the current SREC program and the ability to sell to customers. Many landfill solar projects have not had access to that kind of program in the past, and while landfill projects are often isolated, they don't have a net metered opportunity or another way to sell the power. So the community solar program is really ideal for these types of projects. As Kyle mentioned, a key factor that the BPU is looking at is that there is local support for the project. So we are respectfully requesting that the township governing body passes the resolution to offer preliminary support for our application to the global landfill. Your preliminary support would significantly increase the likelihood of award for the project and the potential payment of local taxes and for this project to continue to move forward at the pace that we would have presented. So I will stop there and ask if there's any questions or clarifications.
Okay, thank you very much.
Council President,
Mr. Shaw?
so tonight, all we're doing is passing a resolution for the community support on this project so they can go and apply for their BPU approval. So that's all we're doing tonight. We certainly are going to engage in further discussion with them about the pilot agreement, and we'll bring it to obviously council will have a role in every step of their way on any financial agreement that will agree with them. So, but I think it's important that they meet, to meet their deadline, the BPU deadline, that we pass the resolution for the community support.
Very much. Do we want to make a resolution?
Madam President, Mr. Roselli, I just want to touch on, this is just an initial step, again, indicating the township's support for their application for this community solar pilot program. The folks from AC Power, it's clear that it doesn't mean that we're committed to the entire process, right? Because there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of issues that we have to resolve, including some, issues related to existing tax liens, and then going through the redevelopment process, and then negotiating, if we were to proceed, a pilot agreement as well. But this at least allows them to submit their application to at least be considered for the community solar pilot program. It's preliminary. We've had some initial discussions, but we have to continue those discussions. But this at least allowed them to submit their application with the township support.
Yes, I agree with that.
Thank you very much. Mr. De Palma?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think it's great. The one thing to notice through that whole presentation is it's taking a negative, which is a landfill, and creating it into a positive. Right? Bringing solar alternative energies into the town is something that we can't wait on. I mean, I spoke about this last year, and I'll probably be speaking about it more and more. Just recently with some of the environmental impacts that we're having, and that now you have with the Keystone Pipeline being canceled, we do need to look at what alternative energies are out there and how can we bring those to our town. We can't be 10 years from now looking back saying, why didn't we? And we need to be at the forefront. I think this is a great step in the right direction, right? Taking that negative, creating a positive. It's a landfill. It's not a rateable. It's an eyesore in theory, right? This will create a boon to the industry. It'll probably bring some jobs to town, bring rateable to the town. I think this is something that we need to look at, things that we need more of, right? Again, what I said before, smart development, right? Because who knows what this would bring 15, 20 years down the line, right? Environmental laws change, things can change. Who knows what that land could become? Now it'll be a solar site. Anyone that drives down near Monroe, there's solar sites down there as well. I think having this in our town is an excellent thing. Also, just the fact that a certain number of residents will be able to apply and get that discount as well on their energy. I think it's a boon for the community. The one question I had for you was, in your estimation, what do you think the construction period would be? Are we looking at a year, 2 years, a number of years?
Typically, the active construction time is about 6 to 8 months.
Okay. Okay, excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mr. De Palma. Anyone else? Mr. Pescetti?
Yes, I love the idea because that global landfill has been an eyesore and a problem for us for a long time. The question that I had was, I'm definitely going to support you going to the planning board. That's for sure. I just wanted to know the agreements, this community, does that limit other folks? Does it limit people in other parts of the town getting solar? Does it have anything to do with people getting solar on their own?
I don't believe this has any limits on anybody else. We'll be talking about second project later on.
Okay, great. Thank you. I will be supporting.
Okay, and Mr. Merwin?
It's a great idea. It's such a great idea. I want to do them on the commuter lots. I've suggested that in the past. This would be right in the area of the transmission from the Westminster lot, so that maybe we could jump in on it and, and get power out of there. It's the way of the future, and that's where we should be going, and it's a great idea. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have a comment? Anyone else have a comment? Okay, Dr. Greenberg, no one is around, no? So then, as I said before, it is C12. Do we want to separate it and do the vote on it now? Okay,
I'll move it.
Okay, moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. De Palma.
Sorry.
so it goes to the plan.
The idea, this is not a pilot, we're not supporting a
No,
pilot or
no.
anything else, right?
Correct, it's the resolution to support
Correct.
the landfill
Right.
project.
Correct, it's Mr. Roselle. All this, we're nowhere near that. All this is saying is that we support their application to the
Planning.
community pilot program so that they can try to get the grant money.
All right, so everyone is clear on what that was, the motion, and the second was for. Thank
I
you.
just have a comment really quick, yeah. I'm in support of this, however, I did hear Himanshu say that the whole council will be given more information post this meeting. So I just wanted to make sure that we actually get informed, because I noticed a lot of things come up, and I didn't get any previous knowledge to this, but it seems like everyone else knew about a lot of other things that come up on a regular basis. Like, we'll talk about things that are in various wards, and I mean, I didn't hear anything about it sometimes before the meeting. So if you're meeting with people, I would really love to be included in the meeting. I understand we get sent emails, but, this is something that, if there's a meeting that happens, even if it's virtual, it'd be great to be a part of it in some respect. So I support it, but yeah, just going forward, if there's a meeting or something that happens outside of this one, I'd like to be included.
The only thing
Are
I
you
can,
confused? I'm sorry,
the
I
only
see
thing I can
confused.
say is that this is
Yeah.
the first meeting. We, professionals are always in discussion when this type of project come forward. We do not, this is the first meeting that it brought up to the council members. So I'm not sure what you're referring to, but
Okay, everyone
what I
sounds-
made a comment about was that there's going to be additional steps that will require council, similar to tonight, that you're taking a resolution. In the future, you're going to be passing a resolution, for example, the pilot agreement. Those things will be, any financial agreement will be come to the council. Council authorize that, and then mayor executes those agreements. So
Okay, so I maybe you don't understand what I'm saying, I'll say it again. There's a lot of times when we bring things up during the meeting, I know everyone looks very confused, but I'm pretty sure, remember a time when we would meet and talk about things that were going to maybe take place in the future, whether it's development. For instance, I had been asking questions, and I know this isn't pertaining to this, but I'm just giving you an example because everyone seems very confused. So there was about a good year where I kept calling around asking about development that was happening in Ward 3. I kept being told, no, I don't know what's happening, but, I had residents calling me saying that there were surveyors going in their yards, and everyone kept saying, nope, I don't know what's happening. Then all of a sudden, during the meeting, I find out that, in fact, we do know why there were surveyors. There was going to be like a development built there, a senior center, somewhat. And so I think what I'm saying, and I'm not sure why everyone's confused, but what I'm saying is, pertaining to this and anything else going forward, if you can please be more transparent, which is kind of what I've been saying for 3.5 years now. But not sure what the confusion is, but that's all I'm asking for. That being said, please marinate on that one. I support this. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a motion on the floor for the separation of item C12 for the resolution of support for global landfill project. So for the roll call, Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg-Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
President, we have 9 ayes.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much. We hope to see you soon.
Okay, thank you. Good night. Next will be approval of minutes of previous meetings, combined council meeting minutes of August 10th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Move it. Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Dr. Greenberg-Belli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg-Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Off days, thank
Off
you.
days.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes and 1 off dais.
Next will be executive session minutes of August 10th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin is off dais. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Zohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes and 1 off dais.
Council combined meeting minutes of September 21st, 2020. Do
Move
I
it.
have a motion?
Move it.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin is off dais. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Zohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes and 1 off dais.
Thank you. Next will be mayor with council concurrence, a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Old Bridge consenting to the mayor's appointment to the Redevelopment Agency. Good evening, Mayor.
Council President, did you skip over something?
No.
Police officer?
Mayor, the green agenda was changed for you. I'm so sorry. The green agenda in front of you,
Oh,
that was
okay.
moved into the resolutions. I apologize.
I'm looking at something different.
Oh, no worries,
I'm
no
sorry.
worries.
I'm ready for that one, too.
I'm looking it up. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Council. Tonight, I'd like to reappoint Mr. Kenneth Farina. He served on the Redevelopment Agency, and Mr. Joseph Dunn. Both are reappointments for 5-year terms. I would ask that you concur with my reappointments of the two gentlemen. Have done a fine job.
Move it.
Okay, moved by,
Actually, you have to do them individually or one?
You can do them together, since it's your appointment with council concurrence.
Mr. Farina and Mr. Dunn.
okay. Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by,
Second.
Second.
okay. Mr. De Palma.
Oh, sorry. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Off days.
Off dais. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Zohor?
Yes, and thank you, gentlemen, for volunteering again. It's very appreciated.
You want me to announce it now, Mary?
Yes, please.
Council, I'd also, if you would, please consider appointing a council member representative. I apologize, I left it off the agenda, but you do have a council representative needed for the redevelopment agency, so if there could be a nomination on the
Nominate
floor.
Mark Rizzoli.
Second.
Okay. Then we have a nomination for Mr. Rizzoli for the term ending 12/31/2021, second by Mrs. Walker.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Zohor?
Yes.
It's 9 ayes. Thank you, Council.
Oh, thank you. Next will be Ethics Standard, 5-year term, expiration 12/31/2025.
I nominate Martin Pink.
Second.
Okay. Martin Pink nominated by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Murphy?
Well, is he off?
Off dais.
Okay.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Zohor?
Yes.
8 ayes, 1 off dais.
Okay, next is Ethics Standard Board, 5-year term ending 12/31/2021.
I'd like to nominate Patrick Garvey Mitchell.
Second.
Okay, nominated by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. Pescetti. It's Patrick Garvey Mitchell. These, I believe, are new appointments.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
I-
Off dais. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
8 ayes and 1 off dais.
Next is a Ethics Standard Board term ending 12/31/2024.
I'd like to nominate Gunez Diniz.
Second.
Okay, nominated by Mr. De Palma, second by Mrs. Walker.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Murphy is off dais. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
8 ayes, 1 off dais, President.
All right, next will be a resolution, Township Council appointing members to Recreation Advisory Board. The first term is a 2-year term ending 12...
Open space.
Okay. Oh, okay, open space, I thought it was switched. Okay. All right, so open space, we have a 1-year term. It's council representative. It would be ending on 12/31/2021.
I nominate Debbie Walker.
Second.
Nominated by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Ms. Brown?
No.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
No.
Mr. Murphy? Off dais. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 6 ayes, 2 noes, and 1 off dais.
Okay, next is council representative. The term would end 12/31/2021.
I'd like to nominate Anita Greenberg Belli.
Second.
Okay, nominated Dr. Greenberg by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. Paschetti.
Ms. Brown?
No.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy? Off days. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes. Next will be an open space committee member. The term would be ending 12/31/2023. I would like to nominate Teal Vaughn.
Second.
Okay, nominated by myself and second by Mrs. Walker.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Off days. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes, 1 off dais.
Okay, thank you. Next will be Recreation Committee, a 2-year term, expiration 12/31/2022.
I'd like to nominate Laura Baez Alberetti.
Second.
I'm sorry, I probably messed your name up.
Mrs. Walker made the motion, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli, Laura Baez Alberti.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? He just notified me he is trying to vote. He just needs to unmute himself. Mr. Murphy, please unmute to vote. You want me to call him off days?
Off days.
Mary, you want me to call him off days?
Can you get him on a phone call?
He's texting me, but he's just not
Okay.
unmuting, so I don't know what he's...
Yeah, all right. Unfortunately, Mr. Murphy's having some technical difficulty.
Off dais for Mr. Murphy. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes. Next will be a 2-year term ending 12/31/2022.
I nominate Laura Lavallo.
Second. Okay, so it's Laura Lavallo, Dr. Greenberg Belli, and myself was the second for Laura.
For which is that?
For the Recreation Committee seat, committee member ending 12/31/2022. You're welcome.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Murphy, you're still muted. He doesn't have his video on. I can ask him to unmute, but he has to accept it, which I'm...
Mr. Murphy's still having technical difficulties.
Do you want me to go off days for him? Off days for Mr. Murphy. Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes. All right, next will be a Recreation Committee seat, 2 years, term ending 12/31/2022.
I nominate Tony Tanicelli.
Second.
Okay, nominated by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Is he unmuted now?
He's not.
He said he did. He's not muted on his side.
It is muted. I can see his microphone turned off.
Can we call him on my phone? Can I call him on my phone?
Ken, can she call him on the phone to put him on speaker?
Well, we're trying to keep him engaged, you know?
Right.
All right. so-
Mr. Murphy, if you press and hold the space bar, it will unmute you while you try to speak. Mm-hmm.
Mary, I've been doing that. It's not doing,
All right, tell him he's on. now on the
Mr. Murphy, you're on speakerphone, so you can vote through the phone.
phone. All right.
Was I nominated for recreation?
No, not,
We're not there yet, Mr. Murphy. We're currently on a nomination from Tony Tanicelli for a term from 1/1/2021 to 12/31/2022 for the Recreation Advisory Committee. Can I have your vote, please?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Mr. Murphy back, okay.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Okay, next, Recreation Committee, a 2-year seat, the term ending 12/31/2022.
Nominate Vincent Forrester.
Second.
Okay, nominated by Mr. De Palma, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Okay, next is another Recreation Committee 2-year term, which ends 12/31/2022.
I nominate Nick Body.
Second.
Nominated by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Okay, Recreation Committee 2-year seat, ending 12/31/2022. I'd like to nominate Frank Santoro.
Second.
Okay, nominated by myself, second by Mrs. Walker.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes for Frank Santoro.
Thank you. Next will be Recreation Committee, one-year seat, council representative.
Nominate President Sohor.
Second.
We have a nomination on the floor, Mr. Murphy, from President Sohor.
Okay.
And it was seconded, so we're going to do a roll call. Hold on one second, please. Ms. Brown?
No.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes and 1 no.
Okay, next Recreation Committee, one-year council representative, ending 12/31/2021.
I nominate Debbie Walker.
Second.
Okay, nominated by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Ms. Brown?
No.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes.
Okay, next will be Recreation Committee, one-year term council representative, term ending 12/31/2021. I'd like to nominate Mr. John Murphy.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Mrs. Walker.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Okay, thank you. And next will be our bill list, Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable, January 26, 2021, $12,113,188.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Piscitty.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Payroll, January 4th, 2021, $835,588.75.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Piscitty, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Payroll overtime, January 4th, 2021, $60,898.47.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Murphy, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Council President. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the total overtime for this pay period was $60,898.47. There was uptick in Public Works Parks related to snow removal. For the Police Department, the sworn officers' overtime was $26,499.31. Deduct grant, $1,404.48. Deduct the ETO, $418.95. Net overtime was $24,675.88, representing 357 man and women hours. Pandemic-related overtime in this pay period was $2,108.50. There were 2 officers injured on duty. They were on the light duty, and 10 officers were quarantined.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shaw.
Ken wants to read his motion because I spoke incorrectly for Rizzoli.
Oh, okay, sure.
We can do it after Bill.
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Payroll, January 19th, 2021, $884,115.54.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Payroll overtime, January 19th, 2021, $47,693.45.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Pescitti, second by Mr. Rizzoli. May we have a breakdown, Mr. Shaw, please?
Yes, Council President, thank you. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the overtime for this pay period was $47,693.45. There was a small uptick in Public Works and Parks related to snow. For Police Department, the total overtime for the sworn officer was $37,241.99. Deduct grant, $1,101.94. Deduct ETO time, $3,256.98. Net overtime for this pay period was $32,883.07, representing 481.5 men and women hours. The pandemic-related overtime for this pay period was $7,312.60. There were 2 officers injured on duty and light duty, and there were 7 officers quarantined.
Okay, thank you.
Was that 7 or 17, Hamachu?
7.
7.
Thank you.
Ms. Brown? Oh, off days. Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 8 ayes and 1 off dais.
That concludes the bill list.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Walker. Next, we don't have any public comment, for readings for second ordinance. We'll go now to public comment, and I'd like the clerk to please read the statement.
Yes. I'm also going to share. Okay, the public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the Old Bridge Rules of Council. The council asks the public to limit their comments to 3 minutes. The council will respect the public's time by refraining any comment until the speaker has finished with their allotted time. It should be further noted that public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has questions they seek answers to, an appointment can be made with the corresponding department's office during regular business hours. The township clerk will regulate the time during the public comment portion of our meeting. Once you're in the Zoom attendance meeting, which you can do by calling in to 929-205-6099. The information again is on your screen. By entering Zoom ID 832-339 or 3349-8622, you can join the Zoom meeting. Once in the Zoom meeting, you may raise your hand by pressing *9 from your phone, Option or Alt-Y from your Mac or PC, or choosing the option for raise hand. Once your hand is raised, I will identify you by either your name or last 4 digits of your phone number. I will allow you to talk. You will need to unmute yourself. The first person I have is Betsy McBride. Ms. McBride, please identify yourself by name and address for the record, and you may address council.
Yes, good evening. My name is Betsy McBride. My address is 6357 Harvey Avenue, Pennsauken, New Jersey. Thank you very much for having me tonight. I spoke with Mr. Shaw earlier today, and I too am coming to you with a community solar project. The company I represent is Solar Landscape. In contrast to the project that you were considering, which is a phenomenal project for the landfill, this one is a rooftop project. It's a rooftop on 2540 Route 516. That power is not necessary for that self-storage facility, and so that power is put into the grid and sold to your residents at 20% off of their utility bills and a requirement of 51% low and moderate income family as it is with the other project. A little bit different is our commitment, our strength of our commitment to job training and community engagement with your nonprofits. But we are not in competition in any way with the other developer, AC Solar. We are applying with the Board of Public Utilities for next week as well. I did give information to Mr. Shaw that has the slides to show you the exact site. And there's some follow-up information that I'd be happy to give you. I just wanted to make sure that I was able to get in because this project was recently leased. We just signed the lease with the storage facility, so we didn't have an opportunity to come before you more sooner. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful evening. And I look forward to being in contact with you via email.
Thank you.
Council President, I received, Betsy is correct, I received an email, I believe Sunday night, late Sunday night. Unfortunately, our process of agenda was already closed, and so we couldn't add to the agenda, so I requested her to come to the council in the public portion where she has a right to speak to you. We do support, administration do support this project, and it's going to be the same resolution that you did for the AC Power. It's basically same resolution, but we'll memorialize a resolution next meeting and administratively provide supporting letter to them so they can apply. Due date, I believe, is February 5th or 6th. And it's before our next meeting, so I would concur with her request, and I would request the council to allow us to support that project on your behalf.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shaw.
Was there anything else from Mrs. McBride, or can I move to the next?
I think unless council has any question, but otherwise she's fine.
It's not a Q&A session, so.
Public comment, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move on to our next public participant, Leonardo Marchetta. I have your hand raised, and I've asked you to unmute to address council. Please state your name and address for the record to address council, please.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you? Good evening. My name is Leonardo Marchetta. I reside at 223 Yorkshire Court in Old Bridge, New Jersey. I first would like to say about the land over that you guys are thinking about putting warehouses and a golf course. While I like the idea from the perspective of having something to do here for the kids and the young teenagers, and also the fact that it can generate money, I do feel that, I don't know what those warehouses are going to be there for, but I don't think they're a good idea, as I think with the aging of schools and the potentials to close down more due to the enrollment, they should probably build a newer school with the potential to continue going to school during another pandemic. Just a point that I think we should look into. Also, is anybody going to touch on the closure of the schools? Can we talk about that for a little bit and see if the local government can put some sort of pressure on the Board of Education to get them opened again? and we're holding a rally this Saturday to get the schools open again at 12 p.m. at the Teachers Union Hall, and it would be a pleasure to see many council people there. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have, I apologize, Keith M. I've asked you to unmute. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
How you doing? Keith McIsaac, 1920 Avenue, Old Bridge, New Jersey. I just got a statement, and it's, when will Owen Henry, our mayor, or anyone else step up to the plate for our children of this town? All sports, restaurants, nail salons, gyms, shopping malls, private and parochial schools are open. I am not a union buster, as I was a union member my whole career. The only thing not open in this town is schools, and it is because of Tim O'Neill and his union that will not go back to work. I am friends with a few teachers who tell me that 90% of the teachers want to go back. Whoever the holdout teachers are, let them teach virtual. The teachers who want to go back should be able to, without retribution from their union. This is just one solution. Are they even trying to work it out? Or is it all or nothing? In union labor law, this is considered a job action. The teachers' union must come up with a solution and put the children first. Maybe we should propose the Taylor law next time their union negotiations come up. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, I have Teresa. Please identify your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is
Teresa?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me now?
Teresa, can you speak into your microphone, please?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Teresa Smith. I live at 29 Mariposa Place in Old Bridge. And I'm also calling about the continued closure of the schools. We have 3 children that are enrolled in the district. And, you know, I could see with different children how remote only is affecting each child differently. If one doing fine, one not so good, and one not good at all. You know, most of the businesses in the town have reopened, and our schools have continued to stay closed since last March, except for a few half days. There are private schools in town, and the daycares have been open full-time since September. Even our old Cheesecake School building is open to Fayetteville school students. But we're told that because our rates are too high, we can't open our schools. But then we see these facilities operating safely, and it's gotten to the point that we really have to start asking, what is the real why that our schools are closed? You know, while there are children that have adapted to remote-only learning, there are many that are suffering. Our children are also isolated in rooms staring at computers for hours. The youngest ones are expected to navigate between multiple online websites, portals, and to manage a conference calendar. You know, not all disabilities can be seen with the eye, and we have a lot of children in the district with 504s and IEPs that are suffering because of this. A lot of us parents feel like the school is ignoring the data, and reports showing risk of transmission is extremely low, and that it is safe to start reopening schools. As most of our bordering towns are providing in-class learning opportunities to the children of their district. Every school in the district should not have been arbitrarily closed when we had pretty much no transmission of COVID within the schools in Old Bridge. They are telling us it's because of positivity rates, but then there's no transparency of where the rates are coming from. Are they related to the residents in our town's long-term care facilities? We have reached out to Middlesex County Board of Health to ask for the age demographics, but have received no response to our numerous requests. Is it possible for the town to please obtain or release this information if they can have it, they can get it, or if they have it? How can we as parents make informed decisions or be confident in the decisions the Board of Education is making if we don't know where the rates are coming from? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Disable talking. Next, I have Rob Primiano.
Hi, good evening. How is everybody? I live at 8 Gate Lane in Old Bridge, New Jersey. And just to echo the last four people that spoke, we need to work harder on getting these schools open. Too many people are being praised for the great work that they're doing, and they're not doing anything. You know why? Because no kids are back in classrooms. We need to get these kids back. The education is failing. People want to roll their eyes. They want to say, oh, here we go again. These people, all they do is complain. We're doing our best. You're not. You're not. We need this council's help. Whoever believes in it, I know there's a few people on the board that do. We're having this rally. We need people. We need support. We need to change this superintendent because he is not doing a good job at all. You know who's doing a good job? The superintendent of his kid's school in East Brunswick, because he's doing everything in his power to keep these kids in class. It brings tears to my eyes to see these kids struggling, and that's what they are doing. They're struggling. The athletes are struggling. They're not going to be happy until one of these teenagers goes into a Walmart and shoots up the place because he can't take it anymore. We need help. We need your help. You people are something in this town. We need everyone to get off their butts and work at getting these schools open. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Again, I just want to say if anybody else would like to make a comment, you can raise your hand in Zoom. If you're calling from your phone, you can press *9. From your Mac or PC, you can press Option or Alt-Y. Or from the phone or computer app, you can choose the option for raise hand. I have kids back to in-person school is the identifier. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Gina, and I live at 8 Calvin Court in Old Bridge, New Jersey. So in a special BOE meeting on July 30th, David Cittadino said health and safety and our community comes first. That is a blatant lie. When he and the board continuously play with our kids' mental health, the parents too for that matter, and our children's education that 60% of our taxes go towards that are not being utilized properly. They give us faulty streaming devices. Microsoft Teams issues daily. Young children and special needs children cannot be forced to sit at these screens for hours on end. Many of them are regressing academically, and many of them also are now having behavioral issues, and some even mental health, and even physical damage being done to their bodies, like stomach issues and everything. I consider this child abuse. And I do shout out to a few members of the BOE for sticking up for our kids, but aside from them, nobody else is going to stand up for what's right, like defending our kids to go back to in-person for school. And the rest of the board members have absolutely no skin in the game. So why are they on a board when they clearly do not have our children's best interests at heart, and they're not even close to being met? And in regards to the golf course, I don't know how everyone is expecting to build more homes when people are leaving New Jersey left and right. Our kids are not in school, and people are going to steer clear of Old Bridge, in my opinion, because of this craziness that's going on right now with our kids and what they're doing to our kids. It's ridiculous, and it needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If there's anyone else who'd like to raise their hand, now is your opportunity. Please press *9 from your phone, Option or Alt-Y from your computer, or choose the option for raise hand. Oh, we have 11 attendees and only 6 of them spoke. That's why I wanted to ask again. Nobody is raising their hand, though.
We just want to be sure that the public is there, realizing that in order to be heard, you must raise your hand. So we just want to make sure we don't want to close this portion and not have everyone who wanted to speak. So this is your time. If you want to be heard, to please raise your hand. Thank you.
We have no additional hands raised for public comment.
No one else? Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Rizzoli to close public portion, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli? Yes. Mr. Merwin is off dais. Mr. Murphy? Oh,
Is he on?
off dais for closing a public comment. Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
I'm going to call him back.
Okay, you're gonna, all right, we're just reaching out to Mr. Murphy.
You hear me now?
Yes. That worked, Mr. Murphy?
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, all right, so Mr. Murphy's now back. Okay, next will be our consent agenda. We have already separated and voted on C8 and C12. I will ask for a motion and a second, and then I'll ask for further separations if there are any.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Pescetti, and now for separations, please.
Ms. Brown?
None at this time.
Thank you. Mr. De Palma?
C6.
Any others? Thank you. Dr. Greenberg Belli? Thank you. Mr. Merwin?
Did you have separations for consent agenda? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, do you have any separations for consent agenda?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Pescitti?
No, thank you.
Mr. Rizzoli?
I have no separations, thank you.
Ms. Walker?
No.
And President Sohor?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll make we made the motion to move the balance?
Yes. So, Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
You have 9 ayes.
Okay, next will be C6, Mr. De Palma.
Yes, so, how much, is this the grant money that's going to pay for this year's, control farm project?
Well, yeah, it's an ongoing project, control farm. This money is dedicated towards that project. Obviously, council already authorized the bond ordinance for that project, and when this money is received, the borrowing will be reduced by that amount. And just want to alert you, council, that we have requested additional funds. We have requested county and also state Green Acres for additional funds because that project is qualified for those funds. Hopefully, we'll get those funds in the future as more money allocated by the state or the county.
Great. I think it's great that, $1 million goes a long way, especially going towards that park. I think it's important that we highlight that although that park is costing a substantial amount of money, a lot of that money is coming from grants, and I think it's a great thing that we got this. Trudge on forward, get us some more. Thank you, sir. If no one has any comments, I'll move it.
Okay, moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes, definitely.
9 ayes.
Next, our discussion ordinances, revising Old Bridge Township Code, Chapter 250, Land Development, Section 78, entitled Stormwater Management. Good evening again, Mrs. Shapiro.
Good evening. Thank you, Council President. On tonight's agenda is an update that we have to do for DEP for our stormwater management ordinance. The revisions are, in more simpler terms, it's, updating a few definitions, and DEP is requiring now for developers or anybody that's looking to have a major development, which is an increase in impervious cover of 0.25 acres and a total project disturbance of 1 acre, to introduce green infrastructure as one of their stormwater management or best management practice solutions on their project. They're also introducing a few extra definitions to try and help out a developer. For example, they're introducing motor vehicle impervious cover versus impervious cover, so that a developer knows that they have to treat the water, or let's say treat dirty water that comes off of a motor vehicle surface versus a clean impervious surface as such as like a rooftop. So just to go back a little bit, in 2004, NJDEP came out with stormwater regulations. At that time, for municipalities, they came up with a model ordinance. At that time, we adopted their model ordinance. Now they're changing, and we have to adopt it again. And you're probably saying, well, why do we have to do that? Why don't we come up with our own? We actually review any of our planning or zoning applications for any major development. We review it based on DEP's regs. Now they're changing them slightly to be a little bit more greener in what they're requesting the developer to do, and to be sometimes on the developer's side on what they have to treat the water for. So the revisions are, pretty straightforward, and they're in your packet. And, also the requirement is for Tier A municipalities that we have a stormwater pollution prevention plan every year that we renew with DEP, and as part of that, one of the renewal questions is, do you have a stormwater ordinance? Is it up to date? Does it follow NJDEP requirements? And so that would meet that requirement as well. That stormwater pollution prevention plan is due every, I believe it's May 1st, and we do abide by that, and we are a Tier A municipality. So the stormwater ordinance that's in front of you in Novus has been updated to meet those requirements. Just know that we did have revisions, I think it was in March of this year, that don't get affected by this ordinance. Those sections are untouched. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Okay, council, does anyone from council have a question for Mrs. Shapiro?
The intent tonight is, if there are no questions and you see that the revisions to the stormwater ordinance are, okay in your mind, I would ask that we move to first reading tonight.
Yeah, I think it's important to move on this because you have so many applications and things going on.
And our deadline is March 3rd, so if
Right.
we move it up to first reading tonight and we vote on it, we would be able to meet that deadline.
Second.
Okay, so Mr. Merwin said he'd make a motion for the first part of this. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg-Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes, now we will take another motion
To adopt on first reading.
to adopt it to first reading. Okay, moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Merwin.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg-Belli? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes, thank you so much for all the information, Mrs. Shapiro.
Paul, you want to stay there? For the next one, just stay around just in case of question.
Yeah.
Council President, if I may?
Yes.
The next ordinance, I'm not sure why it's listed as a discussion ordinance. It should have been ordinance for first reading, but, this bond ordinance is for the two project the council chambers improvement and a construction office improvement. So
Okay.
that's the purpose of that ordinance. We like to move because we have very favorable bids, and, bids has deadline.
Okay, so this is bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $900,000 for various improvements in and by the Township of Old Bridge in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $855,000 bonds or notes for the township for financing part of of this appropriation.
Move it.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli. Courtroom improvement sounds good.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
I have to abstain due to my professional obligations.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
Okay. We have 8 ayes to move to first reading.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Next will be...
No, so now we need the motion.
No, I'm sorry, Ken. I apologize. Now
Motion.
we need the next motion, please.
Move it.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mr. Pasquini.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Thank you very much. Next will be discussion items, community garden development. Mrs. Brown?
Hi, I'm bringing up this item because, as everyone here has been informed, back in the spring of 2020, I formed a group called the Old Bridge Coalition for Equality. So, as you also know, all the members of this group are actually residents of Old Bridge. We've done things like feed families for Thanksgiving. We've had cultural events, and there has been a request to also do a community garden. And so a couple of the members of this group have come to the township to request assistance with finding space to create the garden, and also just some type of help with the logistics of creating it. So obviously, I think they spoke with the mayor's assistant. They really need some more answers in terms of what's the next step. No one ever got back to them. So I'm just asking this on their behalf because, again, this is an actual initiative that's being put on by residents of Old Bridge, and they'd like to move forward with it as this spring is going to soon come. They want to get started. So any answers to that?
Councilwoman, if you could forward that request to me, I don't recall seeing this request, but I can tell you that we have one community garden that is dedicated for our food bank, near the food bank, and we are planning to include community garden, and Nicole is in the next phase at the Cottrell Farm. There's going to be a dedicated space for the community garden purposes. So right now, I'm going to have Matt explore to see if there's any other location that we can provide. And I got to figure out what the logistic will be for the user, because it can't be restricted to just some people. And then, it's the management logistic. But if you could forward that person's request to me or to Matt directly, and then we'll get back to them.
Sure. Okay. Since you touched on that, real quick, I just wanted to note that I find that we all possibly do individual projects here. I've not really heard of too many specifically relating to someone starting a group here. But what I have noticed is that I have requested some assistance with this group, or I've said things that we're doing, and no one says anything. But when there's a food bank initiative or there's something through the mayor, there's a lot of claps and oohs and ahs. And so I feel like this particular initiative is by people in the town, and so we really would like support. And if we announce that something's going to be happening, obviously it's coming through me because I'm the only person that's here. We can't have people from the public come at this time. I would also like the same support. I would also like some claps because we are feeding people in the community. We're going to be having an event for Black History Month soon where we're going to be actually supporting a local business. So that's really what we do. And you know, I think it's a really great thing because, again, this is really being spearheaded by people in this town. And though it's not specifically through the township and through a mayor initiative, I think it's kind of a good response, to be honest, to the Human Relations Committee, which was started under the guise, I guess, of being inclusive and, you know, supporting people in this population that are of diverse voices. But ironically, the only diverse council person was not included on that particular committee. And so I understand it's a mayoral appointment, but I think, you know, a lot of people are questioning also why that is the case. So I know how much I talked to you about it already, but still, you know, it is a concern to a number of people. So I just wanted to say, if we can support this initiative, it would be really great. Thanks.
Does anyone else have any comment? Okay, thank you all. Next will be discussion item, changing public comment section of the agenda. Mrs. Brown?
I'm back again for more. Okay, so I'm bringing this up as well because I have gotten a number of calls, texts, emails from constituents who are quite perturbed by the fact that a number of council people go on and on for many moments about issues that aren't even in Old Bridge. There's been talks of things happening in Israel, statewide things, countywide things, federal concerns, but yet now the public has been shrunk down to only a 3-minute public comment portion. And I know at the time when I first came on council, it was 2 5-minute ones, that I didn't necessarily agree with that either. But now to stifle and confine people to just 1 3-minute portion has been noticed by people in the public, and I wanted to address it and see if there's a way we can have some further compromise where maybe there's 2 2-minutes or 1 4-minute. You know, I don't know if we can do it in even increments or what have you, but I just wanted to bring that up as a lot of constituents have reached out to me with that concern.
Okay, anyone else for a comment? Okay, thank you very much. Next will be report of the township clerk.
I have no report tonight.
Thank you. Report of the township attorney.
None at this time, thank you.
Okay, and administrative report, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Council President. The administrative report for January 26, 2021. Item number 1, for the most up-to-date COVID-19 vaccination information in Middlesex County, residents can visit www.middlesexcountynj.gov/COVID-19 or the county call center at 732-745-3100. The state is developing a consumer call center which will launch shortly to assist individuals without internet access in scheduling appointments. I believe it's already started. Middlesex County is looking for volunteers to assist with COVID-19 vaccination in medical and non-medical roles. For more information, please visit middlesexcountynj.gov/COVID-19. Item number 2, Old Bridge Township and the Old Bridge Board of Education will continue sponsoring COVID-19 testing through February. Testing will be held at Old Bridge High School parking lot located at 4209 County Road 516. Testing will be held on Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Result will be received the following day of testing via email. Old Bridge residents will need to bring their driver license and insurance card. For detail, please visit Township website. Item number 3, Old Bridge Township Police Department newest officer was administered the oath of office, welcome Officer Andrew Colas. Item number 4, the next paint day will be held on Saturday, February 13th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Paint is accepted at the Township Recycling Center on the second Saturday of the month. Item number 5, the 2021 County Paper Shred event will be held on in Old Bridge on Saturday, March 27th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Municipal Complex. Item number 6, the state has extended the deadline to file 2019 property tax reimbursement senior freeze forms with the state of New Jersey. Application must be postmarked by February 1st, 2021. For additional information, residents should contact State of New Jersey Division of Taxation at 1-800-882-6597 or the Township Division of Tax Collection at 732-721-5600 extension 2999. Item number 7, the George Bush Silver Lining Senior Center continues to provide services and programs to Old Bridge seniors. The center has been awarded 3 grants, $435,000 for assistant technology. I believe it's $43,500 for assistive technology, $25,000 for information and assistance, and $20,000 for public awareness to address the need for our older community. Item number 8, Parks and Recreation completed the installation of new playground at Veterans Park with funds from Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and the capital budget. Item number 10, Old Bridge Township courts now have access to online dispute resolution system. The system is available to those individuals with specific offense to handle summons without having to appear in court through the pandemic time. That concludes my report, Council President.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Shaw?
Mayor has a...
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
addition.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to just add a little bit to item 3 Mr. Shaw touched on, and C13 on the consent agenda. We added a new officer. His name is Andrew Kalish. He was sworn in on January 13th. In the past, we have brought the officers here, and they were able to meet the council. Hopefully, when this is over, we'll bring all the new officers that have been sworn in since these restrictions have taken place, and we'll introduce them. Andrew is 27 years old. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in biochemistry from Rowan University. Andrew's no stranger. He's been a Special 2 law enforcement, part of our school security detail for the past couple of years. Andrew volunteers his time with the Jackson Township Fire Department and the Howell Township First Aid and Rescue Squad. Both I and Chief Volkert are convinced that Andrew's going to make a great contribution to our community, and he is committed to serving our town and the residents of Old Bridge. So I can't wait to introduce him to you.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Anyone else? Okay, I just want to say also kudos to Anna Feltz and Matt Mercurio with all the different grants that they've been receiving. This is phenomenal. Thank you for the hard work. It's so important, especially now, to seek out as much grant money as possible. And I think you guys together have really received an awesome amount of grant money. So thank you so much. And I really think it helps with the seniors. They appreciate it. And this is just a wonderful thing. So thank you both.
Kudos.
Take a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Peschetti, second by Dr. Greenberg. Belli.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? He's on. Mr. Murphy? Are you calling him?
Okay, just bear with us 1 second. Thank you.
Okay. He has to unmute.
So we're voting on the accepting of the administrative report. Okay, so you're going to vote?
Mr. Murphy? He's not unmuted. I'm asking for him to, there he goes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli? Ms. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
We have 9 ayes.
Okay, next will be our council member comments.
Ms. Brown?
None at this time. Thank you.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes, a couple things. So for those of you who live over in Ward 2 by Route 516 and Lake Lefferts, you may have received a letter similar to what I received in my home about the new bridge project that's going to happen over Lake Lefferts. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. If you do have any questions or concerns on it, there is a community meeting that is happening on February 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. That information can be found on a website specifically for it. So it is CR516 bridgeoverlakelefferts.com. So this comes from the Department of Transportation Office of Engineering for Middlesex County. So this is a joint project between Middlesex County and Monmouth County. So this first meeting, it's the first community stakeholder meeting that is occurring on February 8th. This is really going to introduce the project team as well as the project schedule and information on it. So anyone who does have any questions or concerns on the project, please make sure that you go on that site and start to look for the information on that. Also, I just wanted to commend the rec department on bringing the activities to the community. Matt, you, Brianne, Lisa, and everybody else are doing a fabulous job. You know, whether it's the virtual art class that my daughter's involved in, ice skating, dance, and so many other things. I think it's great, especially during this time, you know, getting our community out there. So thank you very much. And then finally, I think we heard from a number of parents today. You know, our residents have spoken, you know, and we need to hear them, not only us on council, but our colleagues on the Board of Ed. You know, as a parent, I understand the frustrations that have happened. You know, I've said before, I have a daughter that is in McDivitt. The one thing I would say is I call on the Board of Ed and Superintendent Cittadino to deliver on your reopening plan. You have a reopening plan that's happening in February into March. I ask you to please follow through on your plan. You know, the frustrations of our parents are real. The effect on our children is real. You know, we need to make sure that our children are taken care of. You know, so I do ask that you do deliver on that plan without any further delay. Thank you.
Dr. Greenberg-Belling?
Yes. First of all, about the Board of Ed, the school's not opening. I also feel the parents' pain. I feel the pain of the kids that haven't been in school. It's nearly a year that they've been out of school, and I can't even imagine that if my child was a school-age children now. I felt the pain in the mothers and fathers when they spoke tonight about the other problems that they're witnessing with their children. And I've mentioned it before. When this pandemic started, when school closed then, I said, please, look at what they do in Japan and look what they do in Taiwan. And I know as an industrialized nation and as this country that I am very proud of, that I feel that we can do better. So please, please focus and make this happen, that kids can go back to school. But now on another level, I do have to speak about something that came to my attention. And it's unfortunate. I feel the need to comment on a letter that was written by the Old Bridge Democratic Chairman, Ed Testino, on January 7th. Yet, I do need to speak to something about it because I feel it's necessary due to the hypocrisy. First of all, I do condemn all violence. I repeat, I condemn all violence. What happened on January 6th at the Capitol never should have happened, but for Mr. Testino to comment about this event while remaining silent as our cities across America have burned and have been under siege since May is mind-boggling. The Hatfield Federal Building and Courthouse was attacked for more than 60 continuous days, and not a single word of outrage was uttered. He never made a comment when the rioters were attacking the Supreme Court building, which sits east of the Capitol, while confirmation hearings were being conducted. If you know history, during the late 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, the Weather Underground was a radical left militant organization. They bombed the Capitol. They bombed the Pentagon. They bombed New York City police stations, just to name a few. The difference in their members, these members were rewarded. They were rewarded with positions of high status. Professors, can you imagine that? At our universities, I will give you a list of just 3. Bill Ayers, he was a professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago. He was a member of the Underground Weathermen. Bernadette Dorn, she taught at Northwestern University. She was on the FBI most wanted list. Kathleen Boudin, professor at Columbia. She was actually in jail. She was in jail for felony murder. Can you imagine? And they all became professors. No word was said then. Don't take my word for this. You can look it up for yourself, because that's history. And if you don't know history, and you don't follow it, and you don't understand it, that's where problems begin. These were wonderful professors that were teaching the youth of our children. Could you imagine? We are a republic, a country of law. Mr. Testino, being an attorney, you would think he would want law and order. One cannot pick and choose which laws you prefer to follow and which laws you don't. Just as we must hold up the Constitution in its entirety and not ignore it. Just as far as you must have consistency in condemning violence. It is hypocritical to pick and choose. By doing so, you allow lawlessness to exist and then foster an environment of lawlessness. One fuels the environment of lawlessness by calling rioters peaceful protesters. Peaceful protesters do not injure 400 police officers. They do not cause billions of dollars of damage, and they do not commit murder, carnage, and looting. One cannot encourage the defunding of police as our cities lie in ruins and then request an escalation in police protection for the chosen few, i.e. senators and congressmen. Mr. Testino, where was your voice, your concern, your indignation when Senator Cory Booker encouraged his followers to go to the Hill and get in their faces? You remained silent when Congresswoman Maxine Waters shouted, "If you see them in a restaurant, a department store, or in a gas station, get in their face." Where was your voice when Kamala Harris was raising funds to bail out rioters, AKA peaceful protesters, so they get out of jail and riot some more? It is mind-boggling, and it was all right for Madonna to say she wanted to blow up the White House, for Robert De Niro to punch the president in his face, and Kathy Griffin to pose with a mock severed head of the president. If it was reversed, you would be screaming, but you like the narrative, so you remained silent. Being an attorney, you should know facts matter, evidence matters, and investigations matter. Please, Mr. Testino, be consistent and fair, and in your free time, maybe you can write a letter to the NEA, which is the National Education Association President, Becky Pringle, asking her to step down for spreading lies and hate. Let's face this, there's a double standard here, and the Democrat Party is the party of racism and hatred, and you can look up how the KKK was formed and who were their members. Your party shows no decency, for God's sakes. The First Lady Melania Trump, the first immigrant First Lady, She was mocked and ridiculed over Christmas decorations. Stop the hypocrisy. Focus on the salvation of our countries and don't bring this nonsense to Old Bridge. A recommendation for those in elected positions that exist in Congress. We, as every other citizen as well. If you don't like America, the good thing is you're not forced to stay here. Therefore, I repeat, laws and the constitutions have meaning. I ask, where's your outrage against censorship and suppressing free speech? It's nothing new. Democrats do not honor our First Amendment. Censorship has been going on at college campuses for years across this great country. Burning of buildings if a conservative speaker is invited to speak. In our own backyard in Rutgers, Condoleezza Rice, the first black female Secretary of State, was blocked, censored from giving a commencement speech. So don't pontificate that you were so outraged about January 6th when you remained silent about all of these other injustices. Your silence is deafening, and believe me, you are not the moral standard. You allow your county committee people to threaten other people and write vulgar texts to council members, which I have copies of. Most importantly, I suggest you focus your outrage and your indignation toward Communist China for the devastation they perpetrated on the world. This atmosphere we are living in is created by the mob mentality that your party is steering. You are the bullies in the playground, the hatred and vitriol that is spewed daily from the Democrats and the media day in and day out for years. It's not healthy for anyone. The atmosphere of violence has been tolerated and embraced by the Democrat Party. It is shameful. I wish for everyone to look within, because I know we can do better than this. I wish you peace, but in order to have peace, you must find it within yourself. If you kick a dog long enough, the dog is going to bite. I recommend everyone go back to basics and maybe read Children Learn What They Live by Dorothy Nolte. I highly recommend it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes. Why can't the municipality do a solar program if we were to put them on the commuter lots and stuff that these companies are doing? And we could give our residents these breaks.
A few years ago, Mr. Mayor, we had some interest, and that interest has passed. Our buildings are available, our parking lots are available, but no one wants to make that initial investment into the parking lot. Covers are very expensive, and I guess the price of energy now doesn't make it viable. Our lots are available, and I said the last proposal we had was about 3 years ago, and they backed out, saying that it just didn't, the return on investment was not there. Our roofs aren't big enough, our parking lot is, but the parking lot power is very expensive, the initial investment. And I guess the price of the SRECs are still down, so maybe when the market recovers, and we get closer to that cutoff date where more and more power needs to be solar generated, we'll become viable again. And as soon as we do, we will. Our parking lot rides, all our parking lots are available. If anyone's out there, bring them on.
This would have been the time to do it, you know, while they're mostly empty.
Mm-hmm. No, we are open to solar.
Since January 6th, there's been a lot of rhetoric on both sides. Nobody can justify the summer of violence that went on. And surely nobody could justify the violence that took place on January 6th. But one of the biggest things that I've seen since January 6th is a call for all these bums in Washington, both parties, to be put out. And one of the things, and it's a word that I don't care whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, you don't want to hear if you're an elected official, is term limits. I mean, their own rules, they reward them for being reelected and reelected. Our own congressman is probably the fourth most powerful Democrat in the country because of his seniority. And I know he doesn't like the word term limits. And I'm sure that the governors don't want to hear the word term limits. I'm sure the freeholders don't, and I'm sure you as the mayor don't want to hear the word term limits. But it's got to start somewhere. And maybe we have a discussion on term limits, and I'm not saying that, you know, the people that are currently serving are out after the next election. I think that there is a process that we could possibly take that, you know, but it starts, and it starts here, and you know, I know the public has the ability to do term limits, but the public seems to just go with the status quo and go with the flow, and they just keep reelecting the same people. And I think it's something that we should maybe look at here. I'm not proposing an ordinance now, but I mean, it could be that, you know, we pass an ordinance and it takes 2 terms for those currently serving to be put out. You know, we do it from now. But it's something that I think a lot of people are looking at, you know, and I'm telling the people, you know, they have to start a petition drive. They have to get somebody going on it. And if in order to make it a constitutional thing, we just may need the whole country to do it. So, because they're surely not going to do it on their own. You know, and it's something maybe we should start looking at our end. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, would you like to make any comment?
Yes. Yes.
He muted him.
All I want to say is I echo everything that Anita said. That was one of the strongest, most unbelievably caring speech I ever heard do. It actually brought a tear to my eye. But I agree, if something has to be done, I lived through those 60s and stuff. I do not want to see that happen again. And if we can't all somehow just get to live together as people, there's going to be a big change in America. It may even, at the rate we're going, it could become communistic. I don't care which party it is, but we have to get together. I didn't like all the stuff that went around January 6th. I blame both sides. And I just want to say, everybody, you just have to turn it around and help each other.
Mr. Murphy, you muted yourself. Did you have anything else further to say? Mr. Murphy, you've muted yourself. Did you have anything further to say? I would, yeah.
I mean, Mr. Murphy, if you're out there, or, you know, if you're finished, can you let us know? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Greenberg. That was a very good speech, and it's just common sense, and people aren't seeing the common sense because they're watching the mainstream media, which censors most of the stuff. We're not seeing what's going on in Portland, but Portland's burning. There's rioting going on. And the police are not making arrests because the politicians aren't allowing the police to make those arrests. So it's become politicized. Now, New Jersey, actually, we're ahead of the game because a lawsuit a number of years ago that gives the chiefs of police more power, and that's why you won't see that here. But Mr. Councilman Merwin, we cannot pass an ordinance for term limits. I did look into that. I thought that's something that we should do. Because the way municipalities are in New Jersey, we're just an arm of the state. And we're limited to what we actually can do. And that would be an unconstitutional ordinance if we went ahead to pass it. I did look into that. So we can't, our hands are tied at the juncture. There's just so many things going on. It's just, our political discourse has gone to be disrespectful. I mean, we're not respecting each other. We're not, this council, I think we do a pretty decent job. Most of the council members here are respectful to each other, which is great. But when you look at the national scene, it's disgusting. There's just no respect. And along with that is, how could you say defund the police? This is sick. This is sick thinking that you should take money away from the police, you should have no police force, and you should have no immigration control. It's just sickening what's going on in our country, and we're losing our republic. If people don't start pushing back and start calling their congressmen and writing letters and, just get active, we're just gonna get rolled over. And then we won't be able to speak. Look how quickly our First Amendment, all those people that got censored and they can't go on Twitter and they can't go on Facebook, or if you say something at Facebook, like your opinion, that you don't think that the election was fair, you get banned. What is that? It was never that way in this country. In this country, it was always, you had the freedom to speak and to state your opinion. And, there was consequences sometimes for your speech. If you yelled fire in a crowded theater, there's a consequence to that. But you weren't stopped from doing that. So what I see is, our republic is coming apart. And if we as a people don't come together and fight for our freedoms, we're going to lose our freedoms. It's just a matter of time. You see in the First Amendment, freedom of speech get wheedled away in the social media and the tech giants. Next will be our Second Amendment rights. And once they take away the Second Amendment by overtaxing guns and ammunition, once they take away the guns, the rest of the amendments are easy to go away. So, we really need to start paying attention. Don't listen to the negativity and the people that tend and want to divide us. Those people that are wanting to divide our country, that's your enemy, right? The people that are out there saying it's black against white, it's man against woman, it's this one against that one. They're just trying to divide us and so they can conquer. This is a known tactic from the beginning. So, just ask people to pray and be respectful and don't stop stating your opinion and listen to other opinions, listen to people and talk with your neighbors and help each other, That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Biscotti.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Thank you. I want to read a letter that was sent to me and requested to be read by the parents of Old Bridge. To whom this may concern, we, the parents of Old Bridge Township, have had enough with the current administration on the Board of Education. We have sat by idly for 10 months now and watched as their governing body comes up with no real plan to get children back in school. Every plan they put into place either did not work or not given enough time or does not make any sense. This current plan that they introduced to most recently is a terrible plan and takes effect in 2 months. We, the parents of Old Bridge, demand that children go back to school as soon as possible. I agree. It's time to open the damn schools. Like we stated earlier, we've had 10 months to do something that entails following the guidelines of the CDC and New Jersey Restart and Recovery Program that Governor gave to each county. There has been no plexiglass or sneeze guards installed inside classrooms, along with some teachers reporting that they never received masks or sanitizing solutions for their classroom. In 10 months, Catholic schools around the area are fully open and have had little to no cases of the virus. They are open because they followed the guidelines and have gone above and beyond to keep the cases to a minimum. Meanwhile, our superintendent barely followed the guidelines. He just quit. They have never explored a backup plan. What if Microsoft Teams goes down? What happens then? Will our children suffer the consequences of a lack of education again? When is enough enough? Are we going to wait until these children have severe mental breakdowns through a lack of socialization and lack of normalcy? Children are not made to withstand these types of stress, not at any age. They do not care because they do not see. They do not see what we see. They do not see the breakdowns. They do not see the fights. They do not see the tears of anguish that we witness on a daily basis inside of our homes. They do not see the anxiety that this is giving our children. This is just in our homes. What about outside our homes? What about the kids in this township that play sports? Most sporting leagues have been canceled through schools being closed alongside the fear of COVID-19. These children are gathering outside of their homes and other children as their parents just want them to have some sort of normalcy and socialization. They are becoming very, very mischievous. Just the other day, a group of kids, most whom I know personally through coaching them, are being friends and with the parents have gotten into trouble at Lombardi Field. Some of these kids run the possibility of turning to vaping or even worse, alcohol or drugs. This is because, as I stated earlier, the schools are closed. If the schools are open, the children are not on the street. If they are not on the street, the likelihood of them doing something of this nature will drop. This administration is not only ruining lives in our homes, but also outside of them. He is possibly creating a generation of people that run the risk of having mental problems or deep addictions. They are denying and depriving our children of an education, and we are done waiting. We demand answers, real answers, and not answers that are pacifications. We are strong, we are one, we are Old Bridge. Sincerely, the advocates for our children, the parents of Old Bridge. So, you do deserve answers, and it starts in Trenton. You know, Governor Murphy has botched the rollout of this vaccine, played identity politics when he made it only available to criminals, not to our most vulnerable, and not to our teachers. Why not offer it to our teachers so we can get these schools open again? Our legislatures in Trenton seem to be more concerned about implementing a radical curriculum, force it upon our children, instead of putting that energy into assisting our schools at reopening. The governor has no plan. He's politicized this pandemic from day one. I would also like to remind the leadership of the NJEA that they are not elected to govern our state. Unfortunately, the NJEA leadership is more concerned about politics than advocating for our children and assisting our school districts in reopening. Okay, there should be an investigation into what is going on. The parents who called here tonight have a right to know from the teachers' unions, are they willing to go back to school? And the superintendents throughout the state should reopen their schools to in-person and online if chosen. And if the teachers don't want to go back to work, then they need to be dealt with by the superintendents. Okay, they're now creating a mental health crisis. We can hear the anguish in the parents' voices. Okay? Now on top of that, we now have an attack on female sports. When is enough for our children? Where are the people speaking for our children? There's no one down in Trenton speaking for our children. Well, I can guarantee and promise you that members of this council have had enough, and we want our schools open, and we will be a voice for our children. And I look forward to your protest, your rally, because I will most certainly be there on Saturday. And I can assure you, from this day on, I will be the voice. because it is unacceptable that the schools aren't open. And I'm tired of hearing that the council should mind our business, not get involved. Guess what? We were elected to represent the people of Old Bridge, and we have a right to get involved. We have a right to ask questions. And if members of the board have a problem with that, it's too damn bad. Okay? Schools have been closed a long time. Where is the plan? Have barriers been put in? Why hasn't there been a plan in place? Why haven't barriers been installed? You had the entire summer when no one was in the schools. It's time answers are given to the parents. They deserve it. It's their right. The children should come first, not unions. And if the teachers' union don't want to go back to work, then say it. And if we have teachers who are afraid to go back to work, why not use some common sense? Put those teachers in charge of the online learning. Put the younger teachers who aren't afraid back in the classrooms. Let's start talking solutions, not always excuses. So, I just want to thank all the parents who called in this evening. You have my full support. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rizzoli.
Ms. Walker?
Yes, I just want to say that I also support the parents about opening the schools again. They've been out almost a year now, and it affects them mentally. My niece has 3 small sons, and she's going crazy, going from child to child, trying to help them. And it's terrible, and it's a year they're never going to get back. And you all look back, like my granddaughter's in high school. She's missed half her freshman year, half her sophomore year now. And I always remember my high school years with fond memories, and she won't have that to look back on. And I just want to tell you that I support you 100%, and I think you should contact the superintendent and the Board of Education members through mail and phone calls, and just get a group together and just keep harassing them and having them open the schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Walker.
And President Sohor?
Yes, thank you. I also do believe that it's time that there's a plan in place for moving forward with the schools. Things don't happen naturally overnight, but this has been way too long. I just think people are frustrated, and you can just hear it in the letter that was just read. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of frustration, and somehow they're not getting through. So, and we do, as Mrs. Walker said, to reach out to your superintendent, to the Board of Education people as well, and make it known, how you feel, because it is a long lost time here, and I do see frustration. I don't know what I would have done personally, having 3 children and been put in that position. I really mean that. So hopefully there's going to be a plan being put forth that we can all see, and a goal that is going to open the schools as soon as possible. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
why don't we pass a resolution in support of, I don't know exactly how to have it worded, but that, get off their duff, let's get back to school. We can word it legally. That's why we got the attorney. It's a non-binding, but
Yeah.
it says, hey, let's go. This, enough is enough.
Well,
So I make the motion,
does anyone have a comment on?
writes it up.
You can send me a draft.
Okay. Well,
Well, we want to make sure we write it right,
okay, so you want
Well, I
it-
think a resolution calling on the Old Bridge Board of Education to implement a plan that will reopen the schools to in-person learning. It's as
Yeah, just
as that.
simple.
Exactly, it's as simple as that.
And because we represent the residents as well, and as Mr. Rizzoli said, they are they're taxpayers as well, and they want their children educated, and maybe this might be a way of kind of being a catalyst a little bit to get things moving, since it seems to be a little bit, in a logjam, so maybe they can,
The kids with special needs are taking such a hit that, so a lot of them have regressed. I have people writing all the time, so it's something, we got to take an action. I think, we could all talk, but I think we need to take an action, and that's why I'm moving.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
But Mark had it.
Draft of resolution.
Mark,
You want a resolution supporting the kids going back to school?
Resolution calling for the Old Bridge Board of Education to implement a plan that has in-person learning.
Facilitates the immediate return. How's that?
If they want to do a resolution acknowledging council's support for going back to school, I'll draft something up. You can make changes to it and it expresses the way council feels. We can have that for the next meeting.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lozier. Okay, we're good? All right, so now I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Dr. Greenberg Bellet.
Ms. Brown is absent from dais. Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg Belli? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy is absent from dais. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Walker? Yes. President Sohor? Yes. We have 9 ayes to adjourn. Or, I'm sorry, 7 ayes to adjourn, absent from dais.